Super. So we're now live. Okay, we're live on Facebook and YouTube. So welcome to everyone joining us on those platforms. And we're over here live just now on Microsoft Teams with participants for tonight's final festive tasting, which is the Cask Strength Irish Whiskey tasting. Very interesting box. The first box I actually compiled for this entire festival, and I kept it to the very end. But my main aim was to try and get as much Cask Strength whiskey out as possible. Looking at some new releases specifically. Okay. Hopefully everyone enjoys it. It should be a very enjoyable evening. I know because we've had most of them so far, if not all of them. No, we're two separate throughout the week. They've had good reviews so far, so I'm impressed. I've been blown away with with a couple of them. We're not going to go in numerical order. We're not going to go through 24 to 1. We're going to start at number 30, so 30. And listen, wish you all Happy New Year. Genuinely, wish you all Happy New Year. I'll be honest, I want to start the conversation on a kind of sadder note. And unfortunately, this morning, I did hear some bad news from one of my, in fact, probably my oldest friend. And yeah, and her mother passed away early hours of this morning. So wasn't it a great start to the day? And really, my heart goes out to Jennifer and her her family, particularly her father, Harry, and our brother Andrew and her sister Sarah. So I genuinely do, feel for them this morning, from today, from this morning. Absolutely terrible news. So, look, I'm trying to stay upbeat, and I will be upbeat. There's no doubt I'm going to be upbeat because we're going to be drinking some great whiskies. But that was my start of my new year, and hopefully, it just somehow, we can see some light this year. It's been a lot of crapness in the last year, lots of crap. People keep on talking about this coronavirus malarkey. It's still going to press ahead, no doubt, into the new year. I know everyone thinks we're going to maybe, hopefully we're looking for a way out, but let's be real. Let's tackle it head on and do what we do. And if we have to do more virtual stuff, we will do more virtual stuff. But it's nice that we can connect around the world. So great to see that we've got people on from various countries joining us this evening. So thank you very much. Hopefully, I know for a fact this box for tonight's tasting went out to Germany and to the States and to Australia. So I know that we've got different people around the world sharing this with us. So listen, 30, Middleton, 1999 single cast for the Friend at Hand. Okay. I just want to make sure I actually have more of it because I've drunk plenty of it already throughout this. So 30 white green. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So if anyone has listened to some of the conversations back or they've heard me talking already about Christmas dinners and the likes, I had our Christmas dinner. When we make it, we put whiskey in it and the stuffing that we use. And so the first stuffing that we had for Christmas, this year we used the Bushmills 2008 Causeway Cask Strength into the stuffing, which really worked a treat. And we had stuffing today for our New Year's dinner, which was, now what did we put in there? I think we went Friend at Hand. It was Friend at Hand 25-year-old Redbreast. Went into today's stuffing. And again, absolutely sublime. And I just wish I could pack up some stuffing and send it around the world because it is absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love.
Is that the 14th bottle you've opened then for the stuffing, or?
Say that again, Gareth.
Was that the 14th bottle you've opened then for the stuffing?
I only use 50 mils for the stuffing. You don't want to put too much in. 50 mils is just about right. So no, I had enough left over. Had enough. So this Friend at Hand bourbon casks so the nose in this, and I've said it every time I've had it this weekend, and certainly before. I just think the nose is superb. Really, really like the nose coming off the middle. It's got that. Do you know what? If we're gonna be frank about it, the nose on most of the Middletons is absolutely superb. You know, it's very hard to find a crap nose, but I love this vanilla note that comes right through, and that's because of specifically just because of that barrel that's been aged in. But a nice spice on the nose, not too spicy, but a nice light spice on the nose. Anyone not liking the smell? Because I know we've got different participants in, you know, who might not be used to that type of nose. And you can talk away.
It's good. It actually, like, if I picked that up blind, I wouldn't necessarily know that it's an Irish one. I would just think it could be a mature Scotch as easily. It's really
on the nose.
Say robust, because that's just such a weird word to use, but it's nice.
Yeah, I mean, on the nose, 100%. Not necessarily sure if you get the pot still directly coming off the nose. You do get that pepper spice, though. Maybe suggests that maybe you're getting the spiciness from the pot still straight away. But yeah, I think definitely on the taste. I mean, it's not, you know, it's a delicate Middleton. It's not very heavy. It's got a lovely depth to it, but it's not a heavy pot still. You know, it's shown that by the way in which it runs about the glass quite freely. You know, it doesn't waste too much time in coming down. There's Peter. Peter, good to see you, Peter. Peter Bignell there from Tasmania. Absolutely brilliant. I'm glad you're catching us. I'm glad you're catching us. You're waking up, is it? Was it waking up time? We're going to bed time. That's the way I think about it. So Peter from Belgrove Distillery, based over in Australia, who joined us in the summer, and we managed to taste some absolutely fabulous whiskey. So hopefully we do the same again this summer. Hopefully we do a whole tasting potentially from that distillery and from Belgrove. But can I just say also, Brendan Carty, I know he's watching, but if he's on, and those that don't know Brendan specifically, but when you own your own distillery and you still say that someone else's whiskey is better than yours, that's it. You know that you know you're talking to someone who's pure honesty. So I know that Brendan constantly says that the Belgrove is a superior whiskey and far better than what he's used to. So just after 7 a.m. Yes, exactly. You're just getting up. Love it. First thing you tune into is a whiskey tasting. I think that's the main thing. Well, don't do anything else. Peter for the rest of the day. So
that's a good way to start the year.
Isn't it? It's a great way to start the year. You know, get out there, get on it. What are people's thoughts on the taste? Because that lovely spice, you know, starts at the very front of the mouth, kind of slows down, but then encompasses the rest of your tongue, which I think is really nice. It's actually really quite warming, and I think it's a good one to start because we are going to go into some heavier, heavier pot still, yes, but also, much more alcoholic whiskies. No one got a real opinion on this. We're okay with it. It's nice.
It's a really nice one. It's like it's gonna take a while to kind of get the individual flavors on that because, like you say, it's just a really good standard like aged pot still, and it's just simple bourbon cask. It's just creamy and.
Isn't it? Yeah, that is creamy, Garth. It's got lovely creaminess to it. So that's what I'm saying. It's not uber heavy. You know, it's not. It's maybe not coating every part of my mouth, but it has that creaminess which kind of coats the tongue, which I really like. That spice, initial spice, is just beautiful. It's not fizzy. It actually is, cutting into the front of your tongue, which is nice. I like that. I like it because it challenges you straight away, but then it kind of, as I say, kind of pears out a little bit and then finds other parts of your tongue to annihilate. Really like it, and I like the fact that it is for me, I can tell that it has a bit of purpose about it, i.e. it's been around for a while. I can tell that based on, actually I can tell, I think, even based on the smell. It comes across as a mature whiskey on the nose. No doubting that, Again, in a blind taste, it'd be interesting to field that and see how we get on. I'll keep it there for referencing points. Well, I noticed Andreas gave a wee nod of approval, which is important. That's good. And I know John.
Megan's gone back for more than one drink of it, so it's good whenever she does.
That's good, Megan, that you're sipping away at that. That's good. Good. I'm glad. And nothing negative so far. That's a bonus. Okay. We're going to move on, I think. Although I'm not going to go on just the cask strengths and their going from the least alcoholic to the most alcoholic. I won't do that. I think what we'll do is we'll break up the cycle of conversation. So we've had a pot still there, and it's a matured pot still, only in at 46%. There's Tim Cook. Hello, sir. You're on mute. You're on mute, Tim. I can't hear you just yet. But if you want to put your wee microphone on, I'll take a conversation with you. Yes, Tim.
Are we alive?
You're live, and I can hear you, which is great. Tim, I hope you're well. I hope you're doing well.
I am, Paul. It's my first day off in the row of 7. I have another 7 coming up. So
unbelievable.
Tim,
fair play to you. Fair play to you working away over Christmas Day, New Year's Day, or New Year's Eve. Well done. No, and listen, you're doing the right thing, fighting the good cause there. So thank you very much for that. Really do appreciate it. And I'm glad you've got this box. I'm glad it kind of is timely, isn't it? It's timely.
Well, it is. No, actually, a wee confession to make. I haven't got this box. I'm just joining in for the crack.
Do you have the premium box?
Have I? Jesus, I probably have somewhere. Hold on. Is that what we're on tonight?
No, we're doing cask strength, but you have the premium one, which will have a couple of them in here. So you should have a couple. All right, you can certainly join in, Tim. But thanks very much for coming on for supporting us, Tim. That's good crack.
No bother.
Really do appreciate that. Thank you. So, what we'll do, we'll move on to the Bushmills. So this is number 25. We're going to move on to number 25, and it's the Bushmills 2008 Causeway Collection. And this is the Muscatel cask. Comes in at 56.4%. Okay. So I think nice to move on from the pot still. Again, matured pot still, just in bourbon cask. And this time what we're going to do is we're going to move on to that Bushmills. Again, what's it coming in around about 12-year-old, give or take. It's vintage release 2008 for the Causeway collection. But this Muscatel nose is absolutely sublime. Not something that, again, although I've tasted it a couple of times this week, and I've tasted it from the release onwards. I've probably had it now about 4 or 5 times. I still get that initial shock because it's not something I'm used to with Bushmills. Going into a nose like this, I'm thinking that's Bushmills. It's slightly challenging. It's not my usual, but I think it's a wonderful nose. It's now making me. I know we're in the winter time here in the UK, but there's obviously going to be people out there who are getting some glorious sunshine, who are having great weather, in other parts of the world, and this just makes me want to be in those places. This kind of drink just makes me. It wants to be drunk in a lively kind of spot rather than a bleak kind of moment, So, yeah. And again, the tip here. Yeah, I can fall in love with this taste. And as I say, I put it, we put it in the stuffing, which I'm sure some people will find absolutely ridiculous that we do such a thing. But we've been doing it for years, putting whiskey into stuffing. And yeah, kind of was freaking out at one point because we noticed that the kids were eating the stuffing and we're like, are they just going to get absolutely mangled on stuffing. By then, I tried to assure the better half that, to be frank, that a lot of the alcohol would have just been burnt off. So we're just dealing with some lovely flavours. But you could see the youngest one going back for 6 and 7 helpings. And you're like, yeah, she's on it. She's on the Muscatel cask. She loves it.
Like father, like daughter.
Do you know what? Well, do you know what? I suppose one of the interesting things again is this idea of what of what we've come to expect is that whiskey belongs to a gender, and it really doesn't, does it? And I think that actually the more women I know who either knows a glass, and it's very interesting, just knows a glass, can sometimes be persuaded to drink it, even just the nosing of it. And I think this is because we are finding lots of different whiskies which are not just your standard blends that maybe were very harsh and had those really strange kind of alcohol notes that we've all come to understand. But now we've got new stuff, new types of casks that actually open up different types of profiles, maybe florally a little bit, maybe a little bit botanical in some respects. But wine, giving off wine casks and allowing those wines to come across with the whiskey has definitely opened up doors. But that's what I'm saying. Lots of different people have different tastes and profiles. So yeah, I'll be honest. Whenever I'm opening a bottle of whiskey here, so my oldest is 6 years old, and she absolutely loves the smell of it. She just thinks the smell's great. She's like, I love the smell. What's that? And the youngest one has me down to tea. She's doing. She's like, you do whiskey tonight? So yeah, I'm doing whiskey tonight. That's okay. And when I did gin the other night, she was like, gin? She's 2 years old and she's hitting me out, questioning me as if like, why are you moving? Why are you deviating from whiskey to gin? And I'm like, hold on, what are you, the whiskey police? Give me some sort of help.
Maybe we get in the club for drinking. It's like gin. You're doing gin?
Well, I tell you what, it was a couple of our club members gave us a bit of a hard time, didn't they? Yeah, they did. Here, and I'm glad they didn't get involved because I really enjoyed myself and I didn't need their approval whatsoever. But it was good crack. But here I know
I tend to say sorry, I've got very, very quickly, then I promise I'll shut up. But as I think you said earlier, there were so many different variants of flavor profiles and aromas from whiskey, and with all of the different cask finishes and everything else, there is such a wealth and breadth of different varieties and tastes out there. Gin, I always tended to assume was relatively limited in terms of the differences and nuances in flavour. So for me personally, it actually was really interesting to do that gin tasting and actually compare the gins like for like with no tonic, nothing, just neat, and really explore those flavour profiles because there actually are a lot of nuanced differences between them that I certainly wouldn't have given them credit for. So it really opened my eyes.
Oh, true that, Louise, and it definitely did that to me. It was very important. I was already aware that, specific botanicals, if it's crafted gins, i.e. people doing it right, making it, particularly using their own stills, that we're going to get lots of different types of flavouring. And that definitely came across. So I appreciated it. This Bushmills has those great, stone fruits characters coming right the way through it, which I really, really like. I'm just curious what people's perception of this one is, particularly if you haven't had it before, or you're just used to, like I am, Bushmills, which maybe are sherry cask or the bourbon casks, and obviously we've had rum and port, really, but Muscatel cask. This is just fabulous. Like, what we thinking, Andreas? What's your mood on this? What are you thinking about the Muscatel cask?
I don't like the wine thing. I like the middle more.
Okay.
But we will empty the glass, so it's not a bad one.
So it's not bad, not preferable because it's gone.
Not over taking the wine part. So
yeah,
still a whiskey with a little bit of wine, and not a wine with a little bit of whiskey.
Yes. I think there's a fine line, Andreas. You're quite right here. There's a fine line between ruining the whiskey, and can you, I tend to find that it's hard to ruin a Bushmills because of the core kind of, I suppose, the core kind of flavour profile of a Bushmills whiskey. Yeah. However, I think you're spot on. We could find ourselves, and I have tasted a couple of Scotch whiskies which have been ruined by wine cask finishing. I've not had that wine cask finishing ruined really here with Irish malts or pot stills, but I'm sure it could come. I find this just to be, because I've got a sweet tooth. I mean, I don't know how many mince pies I've put away or how much Christmas cake, and tonight I had apple pie and custard, and I could just eat all of that sweet stuff. And really, this is a very sweet whiskey. It comes across sweet on the nose. It nearly has a florally kind of note to it. Definitely has that, wine element. And then going into the taste, very, very sweet. And again, coats the entire mouth with sugar, lots of it. Yeah. So look, I can totally understand your point, and I get that. I'm concerned that it's, as long as it doesn't ruin it, as long as that cask does not ruin the whiskey, we still know it's whiskey. That's important for me. Where is Keith? What do you make of that, Keith? Because I'm gonna just pick on people today, so we're just gonna try and forced answers out of people.
Yeah, it was good. I had actually had a muscatel for Christmas.
Right.
In the board, I got a wee tiny glass of it, and I had it before the wine tasting, and I have a sweet tooth as well, and you can taste it in the in the Bushmills there. It's great.
That's nice doing that as well. I think a lot of people might never have had maybe a muscatel wine, so they don't have these different wines. And actually, there's not that many people unless you really break it down who drink sherry anymore. So we're not a nation of sherry lovers. I know, Charlie, I can see your finger going up. Okay, there's at least one sherry drinker here. That's good though. But what I'm saying is we're not in the main sherry drinkers. And I remember, and I talked about this in a couple of tastings I've done before. My first association with alcohol was sherry and of port. And it was my grandmother who, at the age of 14, 15, used to ply me with that every night I stayed at her house, which was twice a week during the school week, by the way. So I was going there on a Tuesday night or a Thursday night, and I was having my wee glass of sherry before bed or my wee glass of port before bed. So, we've moved away. We're not that type of nation anymore who drink a lot of sherry and a lot of port. And so it'd be nice, all these cask finishes that we have. It'd be nice to see these lined up. So, Keith, I'm really glad that you've had a muscatel and that you were able to make the kind of subtle differences then with the Bushmills and seeing that coming through.
It's like, do you ever have the Porto Blanco, the white port?
White port, yeah.
Yeah, it's not far off like the thick sort of the drink, and it's whenever I reckon whenever they put the Bushmills liquid in it, it was just a great idea for them. Maybe. I don't know, you need to check it. I can't remember.
Good, I'm glad you like it, Keith. That's good.
No, when you said with the last one, or
It was on and all the rest were cold.
It's the same with the ensuite one, but I can't understand.
Oh, Tim, it's on the ensuite. Tim, it's on the ensuite. You're fine. Socks.
I turn that off now.
You're all right, Tim. I don't mind. Yeah, it's all good with me. So Michael's saying here, I only got into sherry this year, and PX is my favourite. Yeah, I think if you have the chance to try these liquids, to try the different wines that we're finding in our casks, that are helping our whiskies mature in, I think it's great. I definitely have done lots of tastings now where I tend to look at the casks and I want to try new experimental casks, but also the side-by-side whiskey and wine tasting that we did in the summertime was very important, that we had the actual go-to wines that we would have had for the casking. Maybe it was the Green Spot Leeville Barton, and actually using the wine to do a comparison test. It's nice to do that. There's a lot of wine drinkers out there, so if we're able to convert wine drinkers into whiskey drinkers, and potentially vice versa, I'm okay with that. I think that's a good thing. Okay. Nothing other than that. Nothing. No one's.
Well, for going,
John.
so I've got a ball myself. It says recast in March 16. Is that how long it's being recast into the Muscatel? Or is that just finishing?
I'm assuming so, John, yes.
It's an awful long time, is it?
Yeah. So normally when you finish something, specifically when you finish something, we talk about a finishing period of anything between 3 and up to 9 months, really, is what people like really, really talk about. That 3 month period is the norm, isn't it?
Going 4 years.
But not 4 years, yeah. So it's slightly different, isn't it? Slightly different, and I don't know. I think it's obviously making a big deal about it, isn't it? In terms of how much of an influence it's creating. Yeah, I have noticed that as well, and there's a difference on these Causeway collections. Some are, they give you a distillation date, don't they, or they give you an amount of bottles from that. That's slightly different piece of information on those bottles. We'll see that in the 95 forward. Okay, we shall move on, and I'm thinking because we've had that Muscatel slightly different. We'll maybe move on to number 29. So number 29 in your box is the Blue Spot. So it's Blue Spot. It's a 7-year-old cask strength. Comes in at 58.7%. Okay. Now I was nearly putting this into my stuffing. I was thinking about this because I'm a massive fan of this whiskey already. But so number 29, and it's your Blue Spot.
How do you choose which whiskey to go in the stuffing every year, Paul?
You know what? Well, I tell you what. One year it was bad luck or good luck, whatever way you look at it. For the first time we used first time we used whiskey specifically for my collection, we used the Friend at Hand's Powers single cask release, and that was great. And because it worked so well the first year, we used it the second year. But the third year, the other half said to me, "Here, can I use whiskey again?" Yes, not a problem. I said, "Listen, I have a cupboard in my house which only stores miniatures, and it's miniatures that are either collectible miniatures, so collectible things I put in there, or ones that are one-offs. So it's maybe something I've kept, I've been given, or I've done myself, and I've kept it in there. Got lots of miniatures, but this cupboard specific is just ones that I want, and I want to keep them." So I said, "Yes, do you know what? Go ahead. You use one of the miniatures." And so she actually went into the cupboard, took out a miniature, and used it. And when I came back, and we'd had this conversation about what she'd used, I think, I was talking about this the other day, I think it was a Cumber 7-year-old from the 30s, And to be honest, it's a very expensive. It's a very expensive measure to put in your stuffing, to be frank. You know what I mean? So it worked out okay. You know what I mean? It worked out perfectly fine. It tasted good, you know what I mean? So I wasn't going to complain.
Is there going to be a stuffing box next year, or?
Do you know that's a great question, because if I can, you know what, if I can genuinely get it out to if I can get it out to some local people, I'll happily do that.
You should put up the recipe, sure.
Considering I don't cook, that would be a very good option for me.
All I'm saying is it's absolutely brilliant. I can't, honestly. And the fact that we've gone for 2 this year, we went one for Christmas and then one for New Year, so 2 different stuffings, absolutely brilliant. So yeah, so number 29, Blue Spot 7-year-old cask strength, using Madeira casks. This is a pot still again. We're kind of progressing in the spot range. The Mitchells have kind of progressed this spot range. We've got the green spot, which should really potentially have a 10-year-old age statement on it. But then we've got a 12-year-old age statement on the yellow spot, 15-year-old age statement on the red spot, and a 7-year-old age statement on the blue spot. And different batches. So the first batch, I believe, is all completely sold out, and that was only for Ireland, I believe. I don't think it went anywhere else. And they'll move on to a second batch, which I believe is directly going to the States at the moment. I think it's due out there towards the end of January, if it's not there already. and again it would come into Ireland. But the batch, because it's a separate batch, the actual alcohol level, so at 58.7 just now, will be different, I believe, or so I've been told. Unless I'm getting the wrong information, I think that's what's definitely going to be happening. So yeah, so I'll be honest, I like the spots, and I've had a lot of the single cask expressions. I think I've just about had them all, and I really like them. And I like the green spot original. I love the two variants of it using the wine cask finishes. Really like that as well. But I also like the red spot. And when the blue spot came, I didn't know if I was gonna like be torn, between them all. But here, this for me is just now a standout, particularly for the age. This is a standout whiskey. Yes, Michael. So blue spot, burning on the nose, banana, tropical fruits, and pot still spices. It is a lot of alcohol on the nose, which you definitely get a lot of spice. On the taste, though, I mean, the taste is superb. Lovely tropical note going on here. Really sweet, and it kind of dries into those cheeks, sucking in at your gums and your cheeks. I really like that. Is anyone not liking this? The experience of the blue spot? Is it something which is a little bit too much for some people? Because I think it can overpower. Now, I'm not going to suggest that you add anything to it, but some people will definitely be adding a little bit drop of water.
I think it had really high expectations, like this one, because it was kind of like the last one to complete the series, and I don't know if it just got there for me, but like you say, I really like the original ones, like the Zinfandel wine finish, the red spot. I would add water to this one because I think it makes it much more nutty and a bit more, almost kind of gives the flavors less delicate fruit notes. And kind of brings it back a bit more to some of the spirit, and I quite like it that way.
Yeah, it's quite thick though. I mean, we talked about the pot still, the Middleton, and just going back to that, very nearly delicate in comparison, and very light in comparison. This is very much so on the glass, taking a long time to come back down here. I find it really well, thick, well bodied for it.
Just keep getting cloudy lemonade on the nose, which is great because I don't get that from many other whiskies either.
Cloudy lemonade, yeah. You get a lot of fairground smells on it. I mean, that sounds. There's a lot of sweet notes going on here. There's nearly a savoury kind of meaty kind of note going on as well, but there's a lot of sweetness and a lot of kind of popcorny kind of stuff going on. It's really nice, like syrupy kind of stuff.
I have it in my Irish coffee bowl.
Yeah, you have this in your coffee.
Yeah.
Brilliant, Serge.
Okay. It really works well.
I'm sure it does.
I said I wouldn't drink tonight because I had quite a few last night, so I decided to have coffee.
Well, you're not cheating anyway. You're just right. You're not cheating, Serge. Peter says the blue is his favourite of the spots. Well, you know what? I think for me, it's and I'll be frank, because of the age, and I'm blown away by the fact it's 7 years old.
I have a tiny wee bit left from the other tasting the other night.
Well, that shouldn't be left. You should have that in a glass just now. You shouldn't be leaving it. We should be drinking that. We should definitely be drinking that. What was I going to say? In terms of, I'm liking Michael's point here. It's lovely in an old fashioned. I'm sure it is great in cocktails and coffees and stuff. I think personally, I think it's just one of those whiskies now that would be a go-to whiskey for me. I'm genuinely blown away by the age of this. And I think that what I mean by that is we could find ourselves in serious trouble. You know, as an industry in the Irish whiskey industry, we could find us in a serious bit of bother because we've got aspiring distilleries who are coming through and who will, in a couple of years' time, have 7-year-old spirit, potentially 7-year-old pot still. And will it be as good as this? That is a massive issue. You know what I mean? Is it going to be as good as this? Because this is good. And I want someone to defy that and say it's not good. Because if it's not good, then we can at least debate it and have a conversation about it. But I've not had anyone say a bad word about it yet. And I don't know if that's because they want to upset the guys who are making it. I don't care. They don't pay me. I don't give a rat's tail. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to be very frank about it and say, I just really like it. You know, it does a lot for me. Again, that sweetness, but I love the dryness of that Madeira cask. It's drying out my mouth when I need it to dry out. I like that. The oiliness, that thickening on the on the tongue, really good also. Anyone got something negative to say? Because don't worry, I'm not going to be offended.
Sold out, isn't it?
Sold out. Batch 1 sold out very quickly. Yeah, batch 1 was gone. Everyone wanted it, and everyone thought. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure how many bottles everyone was buying at exactly the same time, but I think everyone was freaking out, and they'll never get it again. And that there is batches coming, you know. So batch 1, batch 2. I'll keep going through that because actually, to make the amount of cask strength like what they're talking about, I don't think they have enough in that respect to keep doing massive quantities. So the batches is quite a good idea. Do you know what I mean? Limited batch runs. I definitely see that working, and that means that they don't need to continually get that level exactly right. You know, they can afford to have a different ABV each time. You know.
I think the only thing I would say about the spot, and it's not that I didn't enjoy it, but I think that night whenever we were doing the tasting with Joe, he brought we had 4 really strong whiskies that night, and you brought it as well, Paul, and it was such a high bar that entire night.
Yeah.
And I think if I had it with other with maybe a different lineup, it probably would have blown me away more on the night. I think the problem was when I first tasted it, it was up against the red breast, the pars it's yet to be announced, and really good whiskies that night. But then going back and sampling it after the effect, after the tasting, I felt like I got a better appreciation for it. I saw it in a higher way because I was tasting it purely on its own merits as opposed to that direct comparison of that tasting, which was so strong.
100% agree, because actually this is only the second time I've tasted it, and I was doing that one as well, and whenever I just said I didn't think it quite hit the mark. Now the second time I'm trying it, it's a wee bit different than I remember, and I think it's earlier in the night, or it's not as drowned out by other stuff.
I agree totally, because this will be, I haven't actually cracked it open now, but I tried it on the night, and then I tried it a couple of days ago, and it did make me reevaluate my opinion. Obviously, actually, do you know what, this is a lot better than I remember it being, and I think it was, she said, it was just a case of being drowned out by such other high caliber whiskies that night. But standing by itself, it is fantastic whiskey. I can see why everybody loves it so much, but as you said, on the night, I think bar was so high, it just
let's find the haters though. Let's find the haters. Come on, any haters? We must have haters. We must have someone, at least one person that goes nah. Sean, what we're saying here is the price point the only negative. That's a good point. That's good. Now we've gotten some negatives, Sean. That's it. Find us the negatives, because you're right. A 12-year-old cask strength Redbreast comes in at a little bit cheaper. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Much cheaper. 100%. So yeah, is that a negative? 100%. I'd like it cheaper.
There's only 1,500 bottles of this, though.
Yeah, but it's batches, Serge. You know, they're not going. This is core range.
It is core range, but it'll be different every year. And, people want batch one.
But so is the Redbreast 12-year-old. It is batches core range. So I
yes,
think,
but there's how each batch is collectible.
Yeah, look,
want the whole set.
Serge, I'm not disputing that, and I know that secondary and tertiary markets will dictate some prices post this, but the initial price, I mean,
What is it, 79 or 89?
Yeah, well, up here it's 80 quid.
Is it?
Yeah. So up here is 80 quid, and yet you can buy a Redbreast cast strength at 65 quid. So there's £15 a difference for a spirit.
But which do you prefer?
What's better?
Which do you prefer, this or the
I prefer
12-year-old?
the Redbreast 12-year-old. Oh,
Yeah.
Cast strength Redbreast 12-year-old. Unbelievable. And again, great value for money. Just like it's normal 12-year-old. Not, I mean, great value for money. These guys have got it on
Stuff with John's Lane.
Now, John's Lane. Could you imagine just John's Lane at a cast strength version just for the market, just at the right price point? Oh, boys. You know what I mean?
I would buy in a heartbeat.
Say again, Charlie?
I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Damn right you would. Damn Skipper, you wouldn't need to tell you twice. We'd get a couple of bottles shipped over and we'd be grand.
But we could all be buying that. Let's be honest. If that was available, we definitely would be buying it.
Connor's saying the youngest spirit in the blue spot is 7 years old. That's a very good point, Connor. Okay, so the youngest spirit in the blue spot is 7 years old. Yeah, so we've got to remember it's married together, right? So there's probably quite a bit of older cask in it. Yes, I don't 100% know all of that, and I'm sure there's been some great write-ups online already explaining that. The new distilleries won't have that option. Exactly. At least for single pot stills. Exactly. So there's and I did that. Me coming back to it saying, we have an issue here that we could be finding a very difficult place in a couple of years' time when this, blue spot is a staple and it's at that price point, and yet maybe we don't have that kind of liquid coming through. Interesting. Okay. And yes, someone just said, am I wearing my Belfast Whiskey Club t-shirt? Yes, I am. I'm wearing my Belfast Whiskey Club t-shirt. And I know that John is as well. I saw John wearing a white one a minute ago. So fair play, John. Thank you very much. Look at that, eh? Class. Aren't you cool? It's the first time I've worn the t-shirt throughout the festival. I didn't do that. I've actually this is the big design on the back as well. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. So I've got double done.
You need to get a cream for that.
You need to get what?
A cream for that.
A cream? Did you say?
Cream.
Was that my hairy bum crack? Was it? Jesus, I need to shave it off. Shave that hair off. Look, I have no issue. Yeah, I don't mind. You're not even embarrassed. You're not even embarrassed with Serge. Okay. Daniel Moody, it's good to see you. I hadn't even noticed you there, but you had a hat on a second ago.
Yeah, I was just late starting with a family dinner there, so I'm catching up. Do you know what? Actually, we had Indian there, so I don't know whether my taste buds are a little bit muted. But the blue spot, it's nice, but I don't know if I'd be rushing out to this is the first time I've tried it. I don't know whether I'd be that's just bottles. Do you know that's just me? Would I enjoy a drop? Absolutely, but
negative points. Let's talk about that, right? So, what was the Indian like? What was the Indian like? First of all.
The Indian was very good. Usually they're late delivering it or for collection, but they were on time today, which is great. So that's a positive. I had.
That's extra brownie points, Daniel.
Pardon me.
That's extra brownie points, definitely.
Absolutely. And I had the Goan fish curry, which I would highly recommend. So if you're in Dublin ever, Concan Indian. But yeah, I was moving on to clear out the glass, but I wasn't blown away by the blue spot. It's fine. I'm going to be in trouble, am I?
No, I think this is important because so many people, everyone I spoke to, they're like, "Yeah, it's great. I like it because I actually really like it, and it will be now, as I say, very much a go-to whiskey because it's blown me away for 7 years old now, and at that point, that's where I make my judgment. That for a 7-year-old pot still, I think it's very, 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 very good. So, but apart from that, I think, if this exact same taste was, and they told me it was a 20-year-old pot still, I'd say, right, the taste is good, right, but what's going on here? I mean, what's going on here? But the fact is, I'm just blown away by the excitement of a 7-year-old pot still whiskey.
I think when you put it like that, when you put it relatively to its age, and when you talk, you know, you're mentioning there another brand that has 7-year-old coming out potentially next year or the year after. And I think when you think about it in that sense, like it's great. It is very good. I think you kind of get lost by thinking about what else is on the market. Like I don't know what you started off with, but I presume you didn't start with the Redbreast 30-year-old. You know, no. So like, you know, when you think of that relative sort of comparison, it's a different conversation.
Exactly. Exactly.
Where do you put against the Dingle pot still cask strength then, which is 100 and what?
Oh, that was 200 quid.
Was it 200 quid? Yeah, I mean, so there you know.
Yeah. Actually,
what old could that be?
Yeah, I have a sample of that later on. That's probably a good comparison to be doing at a later date.
Exactly, good comparison to understand that we've got these pot stills just coming through.
Exactly.
And if like as much as I would shout about Dingle 24/7 because I absolutely love what's going on there and I love it. I'm loving the product, but they're going to struggle. That type of marketplace which has just been created there by this 7-year-old, they're going to struggle. Do you know what I mean?
But I don't know what you think, Paul and Serge yourself. Like I think there's going to be a bit of a re-education of palates as well. I think people like I love, like, people slated it, but I know there's none here. But like Teeling's first release of pot still, they said like, what is this? It's not nice. It's unpleasant. But I love that. I like that education of a palate and tasting something all the way through. And a slight variation between the different batches and into the core release. So like I think there will be a little bit of that in the next few years. People suddenly realizing actually not everything is at Redbreast 12 sort of standard, and that should be accepted. And that's appropriate.
Well, hopefully, I hope that is accepted totally. Thank you very much, Daniel. Super stuff. Kit Charles, yes, looking like King Billy because of my orange crown. Absolutely brilliant. Really, really kind of you to say that. And do you know what? I will. Yeah, you know, Kit, me and you, no sweat. We need a drink soon, actually. You know what I mean, Kit, it's been a while since you've been on for a drinking session with me. We have to get a bit of banter.
Kit needs to come back into the club again.
Kit needs to be back on next club tasting, next whiskey club tasting. You have to be on, Kit. I know he was stuck. He's been out in the lorries. He's a lorry driver and he's been stuck in random places over in Englandshire. So fair play to him.
Just see Brendan and let Kit run the next Glowing release tonight. Like, just have Kit running it.
I'll get. Do you know what?
3 balls his way. Just let him go nuts.
Do you know what I'm doing?
I think he should host the next Belfast Whiskey Week.
Could you imagine? Kit Charles hosting the Jesus Christ? And now we're going to be too far, Brendan Carter.
As your host, most definitely.
No, Brendan, seeing as how you're here just now, Brendan, tell me this. Okay, we've got a lottery, a charitable lottery on the go. Am I right? Charitable kind of auction on the go. Is that right? Just now, and we're raising funds. Who we're raising funds for? Who's Friend of Middleton Group raising funds for just now?
The Capuchin Day Care Centre for homeless people in Dublin.
Capuchin Day Centre for the homeless people in Dublin, yes.
Brother Kevin, there's a lot of good work down there, yeah. Carl Stafford and John McDougall is raising the funds there. He's doing all the good work. We just donated the bottle and that auction finished there tonight at 8 o'clock. But yeah, the guy's done a lot of work. All we done was send the bottle down.
Excellent. How much did that bottle raise, Brendan? I just want to know, how much did that bottle raise for that charity this evening?
€1,200 for that one alone.
€1,200 for your one bottle of cologne, random one-off label, yes. Potentially.
Yeah, one.
One of one.
There only is a couple of casks here stuff made. It's 90% rye whiskey, 10% barley, and it's lightly peated. And it's real troublesome to make it, so we're not going to make it again. And that was it done.
Wow.
Tastes very quite good. But so that's basically the first ever bottle of cologne aged spirit that has been released.
Wow. First ever bottle of cologne aged spirit released for a charity auction, one of one. €1,200 for that charity. Listen, fair play, Brendan. Hats off to you, son. Well done. Congratulations on that, because I think that's absolutely brilliant. I really wanted to say well done for you for doing that. And listen, big stuff that John. Yes, big stuff that John's doing down there. Or Ian Garrett, whatever pseudonym he's going to use today. Maybe he's calling himself Paul Kane. I don't know if he's using my name yet. Maybe he is using my name. Whatever he is, he's doing it rightly. So well done. That's absolutely brilliant. To be honest, I forgot it finished tonight because I might have put a cheeky wee bid on there. I think I said yesterday I was going to put a bid on, so I kind of feel bad I didn't take it to should have taken it to 1,300, shouldn't I? You know what I mean? Just for the crack. But I'll make a personal donation to the charity anyhow. Thank you very much, Brendan. Brendan, we're actually going to stay with you just now. We're going to go and speak about your number 31 for everyone. So number 31 on the box is the Clone Oatmeal Stout Cask Strength. We're going to go there just now because we have Brendan just sitting chatting. But I just want to say a couple of things. Jason Borbin, how are we? So Whiskey Jason, great to see you. Happy New Year to you too, sir. Happy New Year to you. Sean Cartier, good that you can join us again. Super, thanks very much. Yeah, hopefully everyone gets, has that in front of them. So the Clone, number 31. Right here. Oh yeah. So yes, so it's your number 31. Yep, number 31. And here, poured. Yeah, I'm going to say I poured too much, but I'm just going to pour it all because it's not bad. It's not a bad drink. Like it's all right. It'll do me. It'll do me. So I'll tell you what, Brendan. Seeing as how you've joined us, you can have a bit of crack. You can tell us all about this wee whiskey because there's people in here who maybe they haven't had it before, maybe they don't even know who you are, maybe they don't understand what Cologne's all about. So yes, go ahead.
Last time we tasted this, I was actually pretty tipsy. It was towards the end of another amazing set, Cask Strength. And I think Daniel, were you in on it? I can't remember. Was that another person you were in on?
Was that Clone Coat or Director's Coat, was it?
No, this here, just a few days ago, no?
Oh, no, I missed it. I was just the rum the other day was the only one.
Oh, God, sorry, the rum. Yeah, it's been a good day. Thank you, man. And so we're talking about this now. This is actually the lowest out of all of our releases to date. A percentage of alcohol is 51.4. The other ones were around 55. There seems to be a lot of the English share out of this cask. A leaky bunghole that didn't matter. It's still lovely. Still a lot of punch in there, and that basically this is like all of our other bonded experimental series. This is a blended whiskey, so we're trying to really bring quality blends to the fore and encourage people to drink blends and understand that blends can be amazing whiskey. So we try to do our best with them, and this is a blend of 20% single malt coming from County Antrim, which is around 12-year-old. And then we have 11-year-old single malt from Cooley, which made up about 5% of the blend. And the rest of the blend is made up from 11 and 10-year-old Cooley Grain that was commissioned through Great Northern Distillery. The other single malt was commissioned from County Antrim, was commissioned through Ecclesville Distillery by Decent from the work with it. Whenever we put these all in their different casks, we created the bonded experimental series. So we wanted to bring people in the journey with us and explore what different casks can do to the same complex blend. And all of the releases to date have been very different. This one was gorgeous. On the nose, straight away, you're going to get coffee, beans, and cocoa. A lot of cocoa in there. There was an oatmeal stout cask. There's a lot of creaminess on the nose too. The cask itself came from Warren Mountains Brewery. It was an Imperial Oatmeal Stout. Before that, it was actually in Keeling Distillery, and before that, it was actually in Bushmills Distillery. It's a very old cask. The cask is pretty spent in terms of what wood can offer. So you're going to get a lot of those old notes that wood can get later on in the night. And it gives it some of those lovely earthy notes and some of those more balanced as opposed to wood notes that come from wood as opposed to those fruity or sweet ones. And that actually paired very well with this whiskey because whenever you're using that grain content in there, it's very aromatic. It's quite aromatic, and you're getting a lot of lemons everywhere. And it balances it off very well. In comparison, for example, with our Chocolina Cask, which was an absolute explosion of fruit and wood space. And it was almost fizzy. This one's very different. You want to take a wee sip now. Cask drink, take a clear bad water. A wee teaspoon of water in there, it's lovely.
And tell me this, Brandon, just, look, again, maybe if people can't hear you, or maybe the microphone isn't super, but we've got a blend here. Very important that everything so far from Cologne, from whiskey point of view, has been a blend. Okay, apart from the Festival bottle, that was a single malt. Yeah, but everything's been blends. This series that you've run has one more to go, and I believe Belfast Whisky Club is going to launch that at some point whenever you allow it to happen. And stop putting off the inevitable. But we'll do that. But so far you've been very honest. The blends, you've been very honest about it. I know that you've maybe taken a little bit of criticism, and maybe it's well placed. I don't know, but what it is still showing that you care about what you're putting into it. I like what you're saying there. So you're telling everyone we've got some single malt from north of the border. Really, we've got some single malt from just south of the border, and then we've got some of that, from some of that grain, and we can tell just by the ages of those spirits at the moment what distilleries they come from. We know that because we know who's producing, and we know who's been selling. So it's really nice to see that. I'm shocked, and I'm going to keep on saying this about every single one of those blends. I could not tell you, Brendan, that it had such a high grain content. The grain content is 75%. I expect it to be harsh. I expect it to be, really have this high kind of nearly lacquer, nearly kind of polishy kind of note, nail polishy kind of note that I'm expecting. I'm not getting that, I'm really not getting that. I do get a really, really sublime kind of coffee note, really creaminess to it. I think I've mentioned before, I get like a kind of, it's like cappuccino-y kind of esque coming off on the taste of this. That's what I get. Really like it. And again, you've got some great fruit. I mean, the fruits in here are huge.
A brilliant part of it is that the non-filtration allows, and non-chill filtration allows, it means that you're getting a lot more of that oil in there. So the oils that are in the whiskies aren't being filtered out of it. The oil carries flavour. For us, that's vital. You don't get as much of that in grain. You get it in single malts. You also get it from cask residues, anything that was in there before. And so we're encouraging that there. Plus, there's no water added whatsoever. And as a result, all the flavour's still in there. So that's important for us. That's why you're going to get some cask residue in your actual bottle, because you're not filtering, and therefore it's more flavour. Flavour is what it's all about. We're not drinking vodka here.
No, but you're using what I call, and people probably will think I'm absolutely mental when I say something like this, but you're using premium Irish grain whiskey to blend this.
Yeah.
Premium, because I'm telling you something. When you can take, Cooley grain, which is above 8 years old. It's premium stuff. It's fantastic stuff. It's great to work with, and I think that if I was any good at blending or doing anything like that, I know that'd be my go-to. I'd be like, listen, guys, get me some of this grain whiskey from Cooley, aged stuff. Don't bring me anything younger. Just bring me good old age stuff so I can play around with it, because it is fantastic. You have that beautiful, there's a vanilla note in there, which is super. So you can tell that grain has been in bourbon barrels. You know what I mean? And it has has a lovely high-end vanilla note, which is stunning. Really comes across, but lovely creaminess. It's not, and it's not overly thick, but it's got. You're talking about it being oily. If we go, I think it's slightly thicker than the Middleton we've had, and probably slightly less thick than that Seminole Blue Spot. It's definitely thicker, and we're talking about a malt here. We're talking about a blend, but we've got malt here rather than pot still. It's definitely thicker on the mouth than the Bushmills, that 2008 that we've had already. Really, really nice. Actually, really well bodied. I really want someone to, and I've told you this before, I want someone to tell us how bad it can be. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure it's not going to be to everyone's taste. Maybe people don't like that coffeeness that comes off in the oatmeal stout cask. But to me, I get it. Michael says here, he's saying, look, a little bit of drop of water brings out even more of the creaminess, and a little bit of sherry. Says. So that's really interesting. Thank you, Michael.
The water splits it. Once you add a tiny bit of water, you can see it splitting the oils in there.
Yeah, so actually,
you can taste separate notes.
Yeah, you actually see it break down in your glass when you put a bit of water into your blends. Anyone got something negative to say about the cologne? Because again, look, it's great that Brendan's here. He is very good at taking criticism. I've never seen him cry. So let's you know.
It's the first time for everything.
Yeah. Kevin, I'm going to come to you. Kevin, what do you make of the cologne? Kevin, what do you make of the cologne? You can, if you can find your unmute button. This is the time when he's probably away cooking himself something nice to eat. We can come back. Richard Jones, are you drinking the cologne tonight? I'm eating. You're eating as well. Oh, come on.
Right, so the cologne, I've been drinking the cologne all winter, well, from it was late. And I think in the whole range, it's probably within my top 3. I can't figure out where it is. I can't figure out if it's better than the Cask or on the same level. I can't pick it out. But it's definitely one of my favourites. I think it's one of them ones you could go with a wee sneaky bottle into a room on your own and just enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I can't fault it. I think it's absolutely beautiful stuff.
Okay, super. Michael says, I've never had any negative criticism on the cologne. Everything about cologne is positive. So Michael's even saying it's not just me. I think sometimes I was on a conversation the other night and we're talking about the whiskey community in general. It's a massive community, you know, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people who drink whiskey. And yet, some people, when they talk to each other, talk about it, you know, can find themselves saying the same things. They can find themselves saying just the same stuff, and it's maybe, you know, a bit repetitive. But I find it hard. I want people to be critical. I'm critical, so I'm critical of a lot of different whiskies that I taste because I don't like them all, and I like people to come in and say, oh, you know what, maybe this could be better, maybe that could be better. So I'm waiting for the day that Brendan finds himself in a position where I can really, go to town on something, and make him feel bad, and I will, because there's no doubt that you can't satisfy all my tastes continuously. Do you know what I mean? If not, I would have married you, Brendan. If not, I would have married you, and that's
Same here, Paul.
Well, here, both of us have to get a divorce. You know what I mean? Although I don't know. Maybe we can just do it as a friendship one. It's like a wee. I get a ring, you get a ring. We'll just pretend. You know what I mean? I like those wee gummy bear rings. The wee gummy rings. They're dead on. James Moira Dockery says Cooley's reputation has come back to where it should be in the last couple of years, driven by people like Brendan talking about them transparently and positively. That's good. I mean, James, 100%. I've always, for years. I mean, I've been a massive fan of the Greenor specifically, but a massive fan of the Tyrconnells and Connemanners, and I would constantly be talking about that. And yet, people dismiss Cooley. They do. They dismiss Cooley. So it's lovely to hear people talk about. And just being open and honest where they get the good whiskey from. And I know there's a couple of guys out there, if they could, they would write Cooley on the bottle. They would just write Cooley on the bottle.
Even James's Dark Silky is just, it's phenomenal, The quality that's in there, and everybody's got one there in their house. It's becoming a staple.
Yeah.
And that's the Cooley stuff.
No, but it is one of those things, like I'm convinced, like it's a little bit putting, I don't know, if you're a car manufacturer, right? If you're a car manufacturer and you can say that you've got a Volkswagen engine in the car, or that you've got a Ferrari engine in your car, you're going to shout about it. Do you know what I mean? You're going to tell everyone that here, by the way, I'm using my Volkswagen engine here. You know what I mean? And I'm using my Ferrari engine. You know, so Maserati, they put Ferrari parts in their cars and they boast about it all the time. You know, and this idea that, you know, we're using Kool-Aid liquid and yet we don't have it written all over the label. I think, you know, that there's definitely scope to shout out about them all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, is that Joanna? Excellent. Happy New Year to you also. Which tram are we on right now? Now, we're not working in order. We're not going 24 through to 1. We're in different orders. So we're actually, at the moment, we're drinking number 31. And 31 is the Cologne Oatmeal Stout. And this is number 4 of the evening so far. So we started with the Middleton. That was number 30. And we went to 25. That's the Bushmills 2008. We then went to 29. And that was the Blue Spot. And now we're on number 31, which is a Cologne. And we're going to move on from there in just a moment. Yeah, Peter says you've just turned this into a dating site. Well, do you know what? There's a strange irony here, Peter, about what I'm looking at right now, because it could be deemed like one of these little, you know, oh, I could pick. Yeah, John looks good. I'm liking his little beard. He's looking all right. Okay, there's Megan. Megan's got a lovely hoodie on. Part of a couple. So I've got my keys here. Know what I mean?
Yeah, just swipe.
So yeah, you know, I could just do that. So, so Joanna, I'll repeat it again. Listen, we went in order: number 30, number 25, number 29, number 31, and at that point we're stopped, and we're on the Cologne. Yes. So yeah, a little bit of bingo there. If anyone got all 4 of those numbers and got a line, let me know. We'll get a prize to you. No doubt about that. Listen, Brendan, thank you very much for giving us a bit of an insight there. Plenty of stuff to come this year. Then, plenty of stuff to come this year.
It's all going to be yeah. There's a good few releases, and we didn't release anything now for a while, so
no.
Yeah, just have to.
That's good. I'm really looking forward to getting involved in drinking whatever's coming that, you know, from the distillery. Exciting.
Interesting.
Yeah. Super stuff, mate. No, very impressed.
Good stuff.
Anyone else get something negative for Brendan? Andreas, yeah.
Not really negative. We tried a lot of Kilogreen. I don't like everything.
Good.
But yeah, but I can't remember which one it was. But this one is, unfortunately, I like it. I can't say anything negative about it. But I will wait. I will wait for the peated pot still they made. We tried the protein. Yeah. And we will wait for this one to be bottled.
You're that's a good
man, Andres.
Good thinking, Andres. Yeah. Good thinking. Yeah.
You obviously have a good supplier there in Germany.
Yes.
Brilliant.
You can't beat that. So if there's anything produced, they'll always have some. So don't worry there.
No. Sounds great.
No, that is good. And do you know what? I genuinely, I'm liking the honesty, Andres. I'm liking the honesty. There's at least one that he hates, which is really good. Brandon, you may step up, start.
He didn't say hits, Paul.
He said I fucking absolutely detest it. Absolutely detest it. Pour it out. He uses it for toilet cleaner. That one he doesn't like. Toilet cleaner.
What? Robert 12.
Yeah, we have to go to the distillery and try everything, and then we just look him in the eyes, and I don't like this one.
Yes. Get over here.
I'll book my holidays.
Get over here and do that. Face-to-face slagging is far better. I mean, this is okay because he can't come at you, but face-to-face is far better. So, I mean, okay, you're just right. Okay, we're gonna move.
But it's hard. It's hard when I say I don't like it. I buy 2 of this one.
Just in case.
That's right. I'm not sure what one it was. I don't know what one it was I didn't like, so I'm just going to buy a couple just in case it wasn't that one. Just in case. Yeah. I see your logic, Andreas. I see your logic. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Right, I'm gonna crack on. I think we're gonna go. I think I might just go to number 26. Number 26, which is now it's the most alcoholic of the night. But I think if we get this one out the road, we'll go for that one. We'll go for the 2 stacks apricot brandy, 63.7% now. Do I have any? I do.
That one is really good.
Oh, here we go. So Liam Brogan, I know he's not here just now. He's not on the call just now. Who did I see? Any of the 2 stack lads about? Are they? No. Okay,
Liam had a wee baby girl there.
Yeah.
So
congratulations to Liam. Absolutely brilliant. And he came straight on. As soon as he had the baby, he came straight on to tasting. He just didn't, he didn't care. He just left the wife in the hospital, left the baby in the hospital, came straight on to tasting. That's all I got from Liam. Pure dedication to the cause. Dedication to the cause is all I'm saying. No. Oh no.
He's very cute.
Fair play to him. Baby number 2, and here we're really chuffed for him. Really excited. Really excited. Oh, hold on. Joanna,
is this the new one that isn't released yet?
No, this is the original. Apricot brandy. 63.
I might have one of them.
Yeah, so this is the original one. 63.7%. The apricot brandy blend. So I mean, like I absolutely. I mean, the nose on it's just great. Nose is just superb. I'm just going to answer a couple of quick questions here. I hope they're quick. Joanna, yes, sorry to be out of order, but is there some backstory for the blue spot? I seem to recall that there was a green spot, yellow spot, red spot originally, but is blue spot a brand new thing? Okay, no worries, Paul. Just reading the Mitchell spot, so does blue spot as well. Yeah, so sorry, Joanna, I didn't see that quick enough. And yes, although it was within it was within 2 minutes. Blue spot has always been there, but just not, it just hasn't been produced for, well over, I think it's 40 years, is it? So it's now made its way back into the pack, and hopefully that's where it remains as a staple to the whole spot range. So yeah, look, there's a lovely backstory on the spots and what it's all about. Great story about Mitchell and Sons and why they still have the rights to the spots, and work directly with IDL on it, which I think is great. Yeah, and here I hope you enjoy it, Joanna. We got some good reviews there, more than the negative, but it was important to get those negatives out there. Maybe having that burning part at the very start. Maybe it's just not. Maybe it needs a little bit of water, specifically. So there's some negatives that were coming through. Okay. 2 stacks apricot brandy blend. Massive amount of alcohol. And I don't know. I mean, is the rule? I thought the scientific rule. People can correct me on this, but I thought there was a science to alcohol consumption, which suggests that really you shouldn't drink anything above 60% in alcohol without taming it down. So I'm not sure. And I have, I'm a massive fan of this idea of cask strength whiskey and the crusade towards, everything being released, having at least one cask strength release. Even if it's just a one-off. Could you imagine a Turcano Madeira cask at cask strength? Just saying. I mean, that'd be epic. That'd be a element. But the above 60%, I think I remember reading a science thing years and years ago that you should be bringing it down to drink. But I actually don't find that I need to. Not on this anyway. It's just so rich. It's like a very expensive taste. The alcohol clings, so the alcohol clings to the back of the throat. But before that, you get lots of fruit, stewed fruit, stone fruit, really falling about at the front of your mouth. Really, it's a higgledy-piggledy amount of fruit there. Very little spice. It's a warmth more than a spice. A little bit of ginger heat potentially coming in the side of your tongue. But yeah, I really like that. It blows back out a kind of chocolatey note, which is really strange. Yeah, I like. Do you know what? Funnily enough,
if I may just give a bit of background on this one, just because I know so well. Liam Brogan and Shane McCarthy are co-founders of Cologne Distillery with myself. We're all childhood friends, and they own the Two Stacks brand along with a friend of theirs, Donald McGlynn. The three of them started up Ireland Craft Beverages 7 years ago, and they've been exporting the best of Irish whiskies and beers since. So they've a lot. I think the industry owes them a lot, and their heart's in the right place. They have the same ethos as Cologne, obviously, and this was actually bonded and bottled in Cologne as well. It's a lovely blend. It's a young blend. It just shows you how you can do really good things with young whiskey. It's very good value as well. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. It's a bit of the background. I can't really speak on it with much authority other than that. But I just wanted to chip that in because there's some lovely positive points on the background of the guys and what they're doing.
I think they've made it quite clear that it is young, and I think that that it is a young blend, and all their stuff, Brendan, will be young blends. Am I right in saying that their focus at the moment is on young blended whiskies? Yeah. That's right. And that obviously is being well received, Yeah, and they've got this new packaging coming out. They've got it into can format for the States, so you can pick up a little 4-pack of cans. Now, a dram in a can. I don't know how many times throughout the last 10 years I have said to myself, whenever I go into a shop and I see these pre-mixed, Jack Daniels and Coke, or I see a pre-mixed gin and tonic, and I've always wondered to myself, why can't I just get a cheeky wee tin of whiskey? Do you know what I mean? And these boys have taken my thought process for the last 10 years and just done it. Know what I mean? So I'm just glad.
How has nobody done this yet? I just
listen.
Because
it's a great concept.
Unbelievable concept.
Concept.
And here, no offense, and I hope they don't take offense to this, but it's cheap as shit. Like
it's so affordable right now.
So cheap.
Yeah.
It's cheaper than going, for me, it's cheaper than going into a bar and taking a shot of alcohol.
Oh yeah.
And it's lovely, and you can share it. It's like you can go to a park and sit down and share it with a drink, and the cans are very environmentally friendly. Get rid of it, recycle it, you go home. And it would have been brilliant during lockdown. You should have brought it out last year.
Do you know what? God love them. They've got plenty of time for that. All these countries still in lockdown. All these countries not coming out of lockdown for at least another year. So listen, I think they'll do really well. For me, it's about this one tonight. It's about apricot brandy. That apricot's great. I'm about to just have one of these. Has to be a chocolate sweetie from Christmas. I'm about to have an orange rose from Christmas, but it kind of reminds me slightly of one of these. It kind of gives off that kind of chocolatey note, the creaminess of it. There's a lot of creaminess going on in the mouth, and I get that from this. And that apricot is tangy. Like it's a tangy apricot. What does apricot brandy have to do with it? It's an apricot brandy cask. Am I right in saying that, Brendan?
Exactly, yeah. It's a big chunky cask. European oak as well, so you're getting a lot of European oak cask spice out of that too,
During the festival in the summer, we actually used the apricot brandy that the cask had come from, and we sent out the actual apricot brandy also, so people could try it side by side. Again, another wee thing where you can do side by side tastings of the casks, which is pretty cool. Went down a treat. Yeah, went down a treat. And I think that that.
You can't buy that brandy, can you? Because it's really nice.
Sorry.
You can't buy that brandy, can you?
They give a sample of the brandy out, yeah.
You've got brandy's amazing. I've never liked brandy before, but I was taken aback by it.
Yeah, it was really good. I think I used all of their stock, didn't I? In the festival, I think I used all of their brandy that they had, and I was like,
that's right.
It was just good. It's good to get out of there. Andreas, I'm sure you have an opinion about this. I'm sure you will. We'll go to Kevin. Are you chatting away yet? Is Kevin giving us a bit of crack?
We already had this one. The first time I didn't like it.
Okay.
Now it's a little bit better, but I don't like the high volume.
Yes,
it's
lots of alcohol.
Too much. It's a little, but only a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Put water in.
I don't want to mix it up with. I need 1 drop for this, and 2 drops for this, and 3 drops for this.
Excellent.
Yeah, I hear you.
Excellent. If the distiller mind thinks it's cask strength, then I try it, and if I don't like it, I find another one I will like.
I think what's interesting here, Andres, you're making my job easy. Is that actually for me? I would probably have that, and I'm a massive fan of cask strength, but I would just bring it down slightly. I probably would have had it slightly less alcoholic, and I don't mean that. I mean, I can drink it at that. I still get the creaminess of it. I'm just wondering whether or not we'd tone down that alcohol, level a little bit. If we didn't have that, because alcohol to me rushes to the back of the throat. Yeah, it rushes there. That's where it goes straight to the back of the throat. And I think if it was to dumb down a little bit on the alcohol, maybe we would appreciate more the creaminess, the chocolate notes that I'm going to get, that tangy fruit that I'm getting. If I'm not, maybe that's just me. And so maybe, Andreas, I think I would have an agreement with you on that. Anyone else got something to say about it? And you can just be polite or you can just be hateful. I don't care. Gareth Spence, do you like this? Is he looking? Is he moved on, Gareth? I know you're there.
I had a good moment whenever baby's starting to go. So no, I do like it. It's not my favorite of the 2 stacks range, and it's one just the taste profile, but it's not bad. It's just personal taste, like you say. You get a lot of spiced orange, cinnamon, and stuff on it, but it's really Christmassy and it suits now well. But I just love that. I just love that one. I can't choose this over it. Right. Okay. So you prefer a different one in the range, yeah? Yeah. And to be honest, even their basic one, like the first cut, I've gone through. I bought 1.5 of it. With help from friends, admittedly, but yeah. Yeah. Okay. Super. No, listen. I think you're right. I mean, those flavors that are coming through. I think they're hard to beat. The actual flavors are hard to beat. I think, that's my type of flavors. Loving the warmth. It's just a real warmth. But that alcohol speeding to the back of the throat, that kind of sets it off. And I think you just have to let it slowly take its time. It's very oily. I don't know if you notice when you tip it into the glass and then you have a look at it. I mean, it takes its time coming down there. You know what I mean? Listen, I'm liking that. Sorry, just to show you. Okay. Well, less negativity, but still not the best so far. I believe not the best. Where am I going? I'm going to go for number 28. So number 28. Yeah, is that right? Yeah, I'm going to go number 28. So number 28 is the Dunvilles. So this is Dunville's 20-year-old cask strength. This is the Pedro Jimenez and Oloroso casking. So it's the newest of the range from Dunvilles. Sold out in a matter of seconds. Very, very, very quick to leave the shop. And yeah, great that we managed to get it.
Is that the 1717 cask?
It is the 1717 cask. Yeah, the newest. 20 years old. Their oldest expression of Dunville so far. That's good. Those, see, anyway, I mean, if you don't have these at Christmas, there's something wrong with them. I mean, these are like, this is staple Christmas chocolates. I don't know how many boxes we've gone through, but plenty of them. And do you know what I really miss?
There was no chocolate in our box.
I'm sorry, Andreas. I'm sorry. Do you know what? I should have done that. I should have paired it with some chocolate. But you know what? Do you know what I really miss? I don't know if you guys would, you know, if Rosie's and Cadbury's go out in boxes like that all over the world. But I miss the coffee creams. I'm a massive fan of coffee cream. Don't really like coffee, like as a drink. I love coffee cream, coffee cake, coffee sweeties, anything like that.
Do you remember the blue sweets that seemed to be like made out of glass or something? What were they? They disappeared. The year before the coffees disappeared, there were blue ones that were just
blue,
really, really hard. Yeah, they were chocolate covered glass, basically. Chocolate covered. Oh,
I don't know, like a mint. Was it like a chocolate mint?
No, it was just sugar, layers of really hard sugar.
That's so good.
That was your taste.
No, I was always a coffee, and that's what I like. I love the strawberry and the orange and the creamies. You know what I mean? But the coffee cream was great. So here we go. So this is really interesting. When I tasted this the other night, you know, I kind of, you know, we come up with some amount of tasting notes on it. Things are going all over the place. But
agreed. I've spent so much time with this over Christmas, and like every time I'm now just leaving it for half an hour, sitting out beforehand, because it is pretty. I think it's pretty close, like to start off with. So like if people have got this box, I would say keep half of this, and then just the next time you're trying it, leave it out sitting for a while before you go at it. Yeah, I think it just improves it.
So number 28, Dunville's, yeah, and it's. For me, it's got a really kind of strange, kind of botanically note, and I think that I picked this up the other day. It's got a kind of botanically kind of note. It's also got a very savoury kind of note.
Has it got banana peel, or am I just nuts?
No nuts.
But it's not a banana peel. Sure, it's more like, you know, it's more like a kind of unripened banana, is it not?
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be critical of it. You know, not specifically, because it's not. Those notes are for me are nice, not me. But I think for some other people who might not get that. But the Cask combinations are a very strange one. I'm still trying to rack my brains as to whether or not there's another malt like it. You know, another single malt which has this double cask, Oloroso and PX casking. But it just comes across, particularly at the very end of it, the finish, it comes across really like a really old whiskey. You know, it actually feels like it's, you know, at least 20 years old. Maybe sometimes feels a little bit older than that. It comes across really mature, really, really oily and thick in your mouth. Covers every part of your mouth. Kind of starts to move into the gums, which I like. I really like that. There's a slight, I mean, obviously the peppery note that you get at the very start on your tongue is really nice. It's like a really, really sweet spice. You're definitely going to get some deep red fruits, which is really, you know, really comforting as well. A warmth, which is, what is that? Like a kind of cinnamon kind of note that comes through there, but a real lovely warmth over that entire tongue, back into the back of the mouth. Goes down with a bit of heat, more than anything else so far. You know, as I say, the two sacks had that kind of alcohol to the back of the throat rather than heat in the whiskey. This has a bit more of a heat about it. When you take a larger mouthful of that, and it is nice and slowly moving down, you know, your chest. I like that. Yeah, I do, and it's. I suppose for me, it's potentially controversial with those initial kind of notes. Okay, who is liking it? Richard Jones, have you got one of these? Did you have you been drinking it?
Yes, I had a bottle, opened it up. My initial thoughts were, Jesus Christ, that's just walked up and given me a big kick in the balls. But to be honest with you, I think the more I drank it, the more I enjoyed it. And I think it's because it's so different. It's nearly like trying the tequila, the Cologne tequila. It's so different that you're not prepared for it. But the more I drank it, I just fell in love with it. You know, it's just, I think it's special, but it's not what I expected it to be. I think it's one of those you do need to spend time with it and just enjoy it.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because it is. I mean, it's not like the PX. It's not like the PX Cask Strength. I don't think.
No.
You know, in fact, it's a lot more rounded than that actual the PX Cask Strength. It's a lot more rounded than that, and it has a hell of a lot more depth of flavour. Consequently, maybe with these two casks, there's a lovely dryness about it without it drying out your mouth. So there's a dryness of it without it drying out the mouth, you remain moist while drinking it, and while finishing it, it doesn't completely dry out. It starts to just dry out slightly on the cheek. But yeah, okay, that's good. And maybe not what I was expecting directly from the Dunville's range. Who else? Daniel, you're drinking this? What do you make of it?
Yeah, I actually would agree with Gareth. I think it is actually quite close. I tasted this as part of Talk Drown a few months ago, and it tastes like a different whiskey, believe it or not. I can't quite tell what the difference is. I'm not sure the name of the gent there, the guy who talked about, it's like a kick up the balls, but it is. There's a lot happening. There's a lot going on. I think if I go, I'm not gonna have another drop tonight. I might give it a bit more time at another date, but I think a couple of drops of water might actually help as well. I think the Palo Cortado as well, those two releases, it reminds me of those in terms of it's quite tight, it's quite close, I think. But it is lovely. It is a nice whiskey. I think it needs a bit of time.
Okay, good. All right.
It was just I got a couple of bottles of this, and when I tried it the first time, I was disappointed with it because I've loved Dunville stuff, and then like the Cask Strength to me is just awesome.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, oh crap, like this is the first one that they've done that I've maybe have missed the mark, but it's just so close whenever you initially pour it out, and like I don't usually leave whiskies for long before drinking them for obvious reasons because we're part of the Belfast Whiskey Club because it's not the kind of people we attract. But anyway, I put a good 5 mils nearly of water into this and leave it for a long time, and you're right, it's so complex and there's so much depth to it, but it needs that time to get all those flavors, otherwise you genuinely just miss them. And it isn't great whenever you don't give it that time, I don't think.
It reminds me of dehydrated jam.
Yes.
It's got loads of these fruity flavors. It's really thick. Like someone who's actually got jam, stuck it in tried to take all the water out of it because it's very drying on the mouth and it's quite sharp, but it still has all this fruit that's just so condensed. It's the only way I can try and articulate it.
It's like my taste and notes from when I tried it were on the taste, once you add water, it's like blueberry compote, and it's the main thing coming through, and it is just like that jammy flavour, but it's really hidden in there, and I like that it's just something different. It's not like their standard stuff, but just higher strength, even though that's really great and I probably prefer it. This is just like awesome liquid that they're putting out anyway. So
is that them trying to kind of develop their profile, develop their taste DNA to kind of introduce something a little bit different, a little bit new to the consumer? Because obviously we're all very familiar with what Dunvilles are doing. We all love what they're producing, but do you think that's them trying to kind of increase kind of their toolkit, so to speak?
Yeah, and they're gonna be bringing out their Dunville stuff soon enough if they really want to, and I mean, part of that is experimenting with the different casks and seeing what works, and like they are setting themselves up to do a pretty good range with their own spirit. You know, if they follow, kind of get all those nice fruity notes in, just rich stuff, and make that their trademark, people will go for it. You know.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing, Gareth, with the, with some of those setting of those kind of tastes. I mean, long term, tasting it, it very much is a jam. Like, I like that, Daniel. You're spot on, but I think to me, it doesn't dry out completely. I think there's a dryness about it. There's a definite dryness about it, which is lovely because it, that feeling in your mouth where you're kind of stuck with this kind of syrupiness, like kind of thick oiliness, and then it starts to dry out. It's really, really nice. But it doesn't lose its sweetness, which is good. That sweetness stays in there, and the alcohol remains. Certainly, for a good period. Interesting, really interesting, because I think their next release, or I think we kind of got that out of Jarlath the other day, was, I think it's an Oloroso, is it? So it's an Oloroso release potentially. So it'd be nice to see that, and see where that's going.
That one's excellent. I tried that a couple of months ago as well. That's really, really good. And I think it's a little bit lighter. Oloroso's always going to beat in PX.
Yeah. So we shall see what is coming there. But yeah. I like a divisive whiskey. I think this is important. I like it to be divisive. Anyone else got something to say on it before we crack on?
I'm struggling to think of an Irish whiskey I prefer over this right now. I've had a lot of Irish whiskey, and I've let it sit. I've sampled it. I love the double drink in general. I think the clone for dark rum was up there for a while, but I'm struggling to think of a better Irish whiskey right now. But I'd take it over all the trim casks. The Redbreast cask strength, maybe some of the next batches of that. It came through in the 12. But
okay.
I think it's the most complex. This is what you can just stick with.
It's definitely complex. We're definitely agreeing on that. I think no one's going to disagree on that. Interesting, and I think what will be nice about something like this is very distinct. This now becomes a distinct taste. Something we're going to move on to is that we've had distinct tastes. Like, I think I'll be honest, in a blind tasting from now on, I think it'll be very hard for me not to pick out the Muscatel cask Bushmills. I think it'll be very hard for me not to do that. I think I've now got that in my bank. I can understand that taste, and I think that there's a couple more we're about to taste. The Redbreast port cask. Like, I can understand. In a blind tasting, if I'm giving the Bushmill Muscatel, I'm giving the Redbreast Friend the hand, and I could probably pick out a lot of these exact types of whiskies. I think this Dunville's does that because it's very unique. Is that a criticism? I'm not sure. It's very unique to what's been expected. It's a very unique taste.
And I think, Paul, I don't know, you might know that like this, but I find that like the guys at Dunville's and they're really working really well with like advanced in terms of age and maturation whiskeys, but they're using a lot of sherry. So obviously they're really well known for the PX, but like that seems to be their core, say, finishing whiskey type. They haven't gone towards anything else, or they're not looking at port, at least from what I can see, or anything like that, or some of the stuff say that maybe Brendan's playing around with.
Yeah, so
they're known for their sherry.
So Palo Catardo, and then they've had the Palo Catardo, and then they've had the Oloroso, and then the sherry the PX. Sorry, so the three sherries. Yeah, the only other one. Sorry.
The three peated casks.
Yeah, peated cask, but the only other one that they've released on here specifically is the rum. Yes, so the rum cask.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, but I think your point is extremely valid. So yeah, like, I don't know. I'm going to say that they're going to have a port cask lying about somewhere that they've been working on, and I would also suggest in there they're going to have a Madeira cask potentially. And
you said too much.
I would assume so. They've definitely got Hungarian oak. So I mean, they've got fair few Hungarian oak casks lying about. So I know that they're going to be working on lots of different things. I'm just not sure if they're you've got to be confident. I think you've got to be confident in what you're putting out to the crowd, you know. And so far they're playing it safe. Is that what we're saying, Daniel? We're playing safe.
I'm not saying.
I hear you, Daniel. Oh, we've got Jarlath Watson has poked his wee face up on Facebook. I mean, he's okay. You know, that's dead on. And he says here, some port finishes coming next year, maybe. And that's nice. And that's nice to know. Like, I think, you know, it's good that he's there and he can listen to what's being said. That's very important. Because there is an expectation level just now, because actually so many of these Dunvilles have been really good. You know? So,
they're phenomenal. They're so
good. And you know what?
Thing with Dunvilles, they've set the bar so high that we all have that expectation that like, we know those guys know what they're doing. We know that they're killing it. We know that they have produced some phenomenal whiskies. And I think now it's about maintaining that bar. And I think there's probably a lot of pressure on Jarlath and the team as well to kind of maintain that level, because we do have a high expectation, and quite rightly so, because the liquid that they've produced up to this point has been exceptional.
Just while he has his ugly face on Facebook just now, I just want to call him out and just say, listen, thank you so much. Genuinely, thank you so much for all the support that you've given the festival throughout the course of the year. Genuine, absolutely impressed so much by the guys down at the distillery. So, you know, Peter and Graham specifically, but the entire team down there who have managed to help, you know, make sure that this festival comes together, both in the summer and now. So, Jarlath, honestly, thank you very much for that. Really bigging up Ecklandville. And look, really looking forward to it, because I know that out of all the distilleries so far who are involved in next year's festival, I know that you guys have already planned all of your events, and it's really, really exciting. So, you know, having...
Even this year, like when you look at what Jarlath and the team brought to the game for this year's box for the 2020 Belfast, and obviously we're in 2021 now, but for the 2020 Belfast Whiskey Week, like Jarlath and the team, like they put so much thought, time, and effort in really creating an overall experience. With that, like myself personally, I'm really looking forward to what they're going to be doing for 2021, because you can tell that they really want to bring that. They want to bring it to the next level, and it's really nice to see a distillery that is looking at it from that perspective. They don't want to dial it in. It's not a marketing exercise. It's about really showcasing the next level of what they're capable of producing. And I know from a consumer perspective, I'm really excited to see what they're bringing to the game for Belfast Whiskey Week, because I know it'll be next level. Yeah,
and it will be. So people who are going to be physically here, I mean, the idea obviously is to still, you know, get this physical part of the festival, you know, nailed down, and I want people to come to Belfast and be part of it. And I do know that they've got plans to take groups of people, you know, large groups of people down to the distillery and spend the whole day in the distillery, having lots of different types of events on at the distillery. That's going to be pretty impressive, you know. So listen, Jarlath, generally do appreciate what's going on so far this year. Thank you very much. Been a absolute great help. It would not have gone ahead without the support of the distillery, and you know, particularly, you know, Shane and yourself making sure that happened. Thank you. Just while we're having a bit of a chat, I mean, I've got Serge here, and Serge, listen, I just want to again, you know, reiterate people who I can thank for this happening. Again, your support has been absolutely brilliant. It was great to come onto your show and have a chat for the kind of exclusive conversation about the festival. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to do it again for this summer. But you know, your support has been great, and a lovely write up in the whiskey magazine this time around. That whiskey magazine is, and I'll keep saying it, but I've said it to you since the first day I met you. It is, you know, it's an adult. It's an adult, you know, book, which is, yes, in the magazine format, but it's an adult book that we can learn so much from about the industry just now and about what's happening. And that's just been a constant now for the last few years for me, having that. And do you know what?
It's important. It's important that, you know, these kind of grassroots groups have a voice, and that people that really love whiskey get to appreciate it and find out about these groups and about these festivals, and the fact that they're not coming directly from distilleries or brands is really important to us, because they're independent, and they're designed for people that really are interested and love whiskey, and that's what we try to reach as well. So I think you're doing a fantastic job. So I'll scratch your back now. But it's a privilege for us to be involved in it.
That's very kind of you. Look, I don't expect anyone at any point to clap my back or whatever, but I do appreciate that. But I think the thing with that magazine, and I've said it to you time and time again, Serge, but I think other people need to hear it, because it's all right for me to say it to you. But anyone who likes Irish whiskey, and I mean likes, dabbles in it, anyone who likes it or dabbles in it or who wants to get to know Irish whiskey can understand that magazine, can get into that magazine. I'm a big fan of pictures. Like, I love pictures, love visualization. Yeah. There's nothing more beautiful in magazine form than that magazine.
I wish it was all pictures, so then I wouldn't have to write anything.
Yes, but here we've just got a comment here which is interesting. James says that the editorials have been consistently good. Yeah. Okay. And I think that's important. The work, the writers that are going on there. I know I've not written in the mag yet. Given an editorial, given a piece. You know what I mean? But I think the guys who have written in there, have put a hell of a lot of effort in as well. Do you know what I mean? And it's been great to see. I love some of the reads.
Well, there's a backbone. Without good writers and genuine writers who are independent and can voice their opinion and still write well, it's important.
Yeah, no, true.
So if any of you fancy putting pen to paper, we're always open to suggestions and articles. I think Charlie there did a nice article for our website, so thank you, Charlie.
It was really good.
All right, so that's really, that is important. Like, it's good. I think it's great when when your readership can be involved within within what's going on as well. When the readers want to be involved in your magazine, it's really important. But I do genuinely miss. Sorry, Sarah, what did you say?
I have to say just a really heartfelt million thank yous for actually letting me write the article, because it was not just fun, but it gave me a voice and it gave my blog a voice, and it really, really meant a lot to me. So thank you, Serge.
Well, thank you, because without being harsh, if I didn't think it was a really good piece, we wouldn't have put it, but it really was one of the most genuine articles and most moving articles that we've had. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
There we go. No, Serge, listen, genuinely, thank you very much for that.
And while Louise is here, I'll thank Louise as well for helping me with some improved reading.
Jesus, you don't need to do that, Serge. You don't need to do that.
It's my privilege to be able to get involved in any capacity that I can. So I've thoroughly enjoyed the experience, and I look forward to many more collaborations as well. So yeah.
There you go.
Jarlath Watson.
I'm going to retire now.
Jarlath Watson says.
Over the magazine.
Jarlath is making the point here. He says editorials, not advertorials, which is pretty important. That it's not just these stupid adverts that are just clog up so many different publications. So thank you very much.
And Charlie's the perfect example of that. It's genuine voices who are genuinely passionate and have a voice and opinion and love whiskey, love what they're tasting, and want to talk about it. I mean, that speaks volumes beyond any level of advertorial. When you have ambassadors who love what they're tasting, love whiskey, and are putting pen to paper, that has so much more authenticity, genuine voice. I mean, it speaks volumes beyond any advertorial. And I think that's the one thing that I do really respect with Surge, is that when it comes to Irish Whiskey Magazine, it's not about putting out those paid advertorials. It's about putting out genuine opinions, genuine voices, people that really care about what they're talking about, and creating that conversation. I think that's so important, especially within the Irish whiskey world, because there's so much innovation and so much interesting things that are happening right now. To have those voices talking about it, it's so important right now, and it's great to see.
No,
Okay, more drink.
Sorry, Serge. Yes, let's go on the alcohol.
Oh, sorry, Paul.
Yes.
While I am there, if anybody does want, for the month of January, we do have the magazine available in digital.
Is it online?
I was literally just signing up to it there, Serge. I was like, oh, there's a sneaky offer on here.
Yes.
I haven't renewed my membership yet, but like...
I can see them coming in now. So, fair pretty good price, so...
We are more old school. We like to flip the pages. And
well, then you're the same old school as me then.
But unfortunately, the delivery to Germany is sometimes not so good. The new one we are missing.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful.
It should be there by now.
Yeah. We are waiting.
Well, let me know. Let me know if it doesn't arrive soon.
Yes.
No, I'm really sorry to interrupt you guys, but I have to leave and I don't want to be rude. So thank you so much for a great call, and to everyone, and all the whiskey, and I love you guys.
Oh, thank you, Charlie. Listen, you take care.
Happy New Year to you, Charlie. See you soon. Take care. Take care.
Okay, so we're
Bye,
going.
Charlie. Have a good night.
We're going to move across to number 24. So number 24, which is the Bushmills 1995. Okay, Bushmills 1995. Bottle number 24. That's 2-4. Okay.
We lost sound?
No, I don't think so. No, I was just trying to find a bottle there. Sorry. You can still hear me. It's okay. I need to find my bottle, that's all. I'm just looking through my pile of bottles.
That's just come in, John, now. And Gareth.
Right, okay. So, you're number 24, all right? Bushmills. It's got a lovely colour to it, doesn't it? I've not talked much about the colours, but I should have really talked about the 2008 earlier on. It had a really nice kind of pink hue on it. But this one's a much deeper colour. Yeah.
Which one's that again?
Sorry?
Which one is that you're drinking now?
We're drinking the 1995 Malaga cask.
Oh, okay.
I know, Serge. I know it's a big beastie. It's an absolutely stunning drop here. Really powerful on the nose. Alcohol content is spot on, 53.5. The alcohol content is just right, I think. And again, such a deserving older stock whiskey, reminding me again of earlier robust Bushmills whiskey. But this is what Bushmills should be tasting like. You know, when I did Earlier on in the week, we did a tasting whereby we had some of the earliest 16-year-old Bush. Again from that kind of time period. This is 1995. I did another one which was 1991? It was a 1991 Bushmills and one of our tastings. And again, that older stock, you could just tell it just is superior. It is a superior, whiskey. Maybe compared to what we're being used to recently from Bushmills. It just comes across as far more rich, to start with. But great.
It reminds me of those old distillery editions that you brought to us.
Yeah.
A year ago.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Really old style Bushmills. So, they've got away with this. I mean, 25-year-old whiskey. Where really, they've managed to do so well with this Malaga cask. It's absolutely proud. Are people confident with this? Because I think I'm sure this can be a little bit divisive, but I think if we're used to Bushmills, 21, 16-year-old, if we're used to those two, and then we've gone ahead and we've maybe tried some of the, what was the new distilled editions, Acacia, so maybe we've tried that. But there's nothing like this on the market from Bushmills. Nothing at all. Nothing. You have to delve back into older stock, stock that you can find from independent bottlings, which has gone out across Europe. Bushmills just haven't bothered the backside in respect recently. This is it. This is us now saying, well done, Bushmills. Super stuff. You've now brought out to the market some really, really interesting products. Hopefully they all taste great. I think this is just sublime. Yeah, and lovely red hue on the end of that, don't you? I mean, I'm just looking at Gareth's glass. I think it kind of gives that red hue. I'm wondering whether that's the background slightly, but you got a lovely kind of redness on it.
No, you're right. Personally, I'm looking forward to trying all the triplicate ones that you've got of the whole collection over the year. But it's just, you're right. 16-year-old Bushmills, one of my favorite. 21. It's good, but it needs a bit of a change, or it needs something added to it. And these ones are just starting to bring out something different and something that you can really enjoy. And it does take you nearly back to some of those old kind of single cask ones that they've had, which are just why are they not still releasing all this stuff? And they've just decided to. So
yeah, I mean, there's been a massive break. I mean, if we look at when the last time they started to do this was the last time they released single caskings. It was across Europe. It was into different different shops really in Germany and in France. Celtic Whisky would have got some in the south. We're looking at a slightly similar scheme, but in a brand new kind of package, and again going further afield. So went out to Australia, didn't it? It's supposedly going to be in Portugal and Sweden and China this year. So really, really interesting.
How much potentially of that liquid do they have to be able to put out there?
They could do that. They could do this 1,000 times over and still have the amount of liquid, to play around with. Seriously, in all seriousness, what they're doing is a drop in the ocean.
What are they? Because this is showcasing the very best of what Bushmills is capable of doing. So why aren't they putting it out there? Because
they don't have to. And to be honest, they make money from blends, and they make money from their bread and butter is their Black Bush and the original. The 16 probably does a job, but the 10-year-old again bread and butter for them. Do you know what I mean? Easy. There's not for me the company that own it, Jose Cuervo, and then with Proximo as their main marketing and business part of it. There's not a need to make mass amounts of money. They're making money, so it's
but the
creative
fashion to me, I look at that and I kind of see that as the haute couture. it's them, to compare it to fashion, it's them showing off what they're capable of doing. This is the very best of what they're able to produce. And the thing about, if I was to equate it to fashion, haute couture isn't about making money. That's not about bread and butter. That's about showcasing innovation. It's about showcasing the very best of what they're capable of producing. It's about building reputation. And it's something that I would like to see Bushmills doing more of, because we know they're capable of it. We know they have this fantastic liquid. But I kind of feel like, in the same way that the likes of, you know, Dior and Chanel show off their capabilities in the haute couture, but make their money on their pret-a-porter and they're ready to wear, I'd like to see Bushmills doing more of that, to really kind of showcase what they're fully capable of doing. Like, it's not about making money; it's about building that reputation.
Yes, but it is. I think
Diageo didn't. When Diageo owned Bushmills, you know, it wasn't the foremost of their brands, so they didn't have to try and push it.
Yeah.
And it's only since the competition has emerged now that, and haute couture are starting to do strong things, since they realise they've ended up with a pretty good product, an import product, that they're actually making this move.
Yeah, there's definitely a sea change there, but
continue down that route.
Yeah, but Louise, I like your point to bring it into the fashion kind of world, but there's a business level head here, which is that if I'm able to produce a blend and a single malt, just let's say we took the original Black Bush and we took the 10-year-old, and I can put them out into the market and it sells well and it makes a profit, and there's no negative loss here. Like, this is profit making constantly.
Yeah.
You know, why deviate? And however, to become the best at something, you know, that's slightly different. And I don't know, their only competition up until now has been IDL. That's their competition, and even then, it's a slightly different competition, because they're two separate whiskies, really. You know, pot still versus malt. So actually, Bushmills have really cornered the market, and has been very comfortable for a long period of time. And no matter who the owner was, it's been comfortable. Has been able to be comfortable. I think now what it can do.
That word alone, using the word comfortable. For any kind of business, to me, always makes me feel slightly nervous. I mean, if you take, obviously my background, we all know I'm into fashion, and that's kind of where my background is, but if you take, like, say, a company like Chanel, you know, they make their money from their baseline cosmetics. They make their money from their fragrances. They make their money from their costume jewelry, their sunglasses, their SLGs, everything that kind of costs, you know, like £500, €500 and under. But they still do their haute couture. They still have that showcase of being able to go, this is what we're capable of. This isn't necessarily what we're releasing mainstream to make money from. This isn't where our revenue stream comes from. But we're still going to remind people that we are Chanel and we are capable of creating X, Y, Z.
Of course.
And I think it's important for a brand like Bushmills. Yeah, it's not where they're going to make their money from. That's not their core range. I mean, the likes of Chanel, they make their money from selling perfume and nail polish and sunglasses. Like, they don't make their money from selling £40,000 haute couture dresses. No. But it showcases what they're capable of, and it builds that reputation, and it creates that mystique, which I think is so important for companies.
And agreed. And this is Bushmills' peacock moment.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, this is their peacock. This is them getting their big, massive tail out there with beautiful colours and saying, "Here, this is what we can do." And 100% that. But what I'm saying is, going forward, you asked the question at the very start of this, discussion is, do they have enough liquid to do this again and again? Well, of course they do. A massive amounts of liquid, because and the best way to understand that is to drive past Bushmills. It's to just drive past the hill which Bushmills sits on and look at each one of those warehouses. And each one of those warehouses is full of casks of age statement whiskey. Fact. Just fact. So, they can continue to do this. Whether or not they choose to do it, I'm not 100% that convinced that they will. However, if it became, I suppose, if it became a position where they felt threatened, and this is what I'm saying, I think they've been comfortable for a period of time. There might become where it becomes a threat. So you have 3 distilleries. We now have 13 distilleries. We now have 30 distilleries. Well, the market share of a type of product could seriously be, competed with, because actually, IDL is the forerunner of the pot still generation, and everyone who wants to bring on pot still will have to then fight against a 7-year-old, blue spot.
Yeah.
And yet, in the single malt part of Irish whiskey, you're going to have more distilleries going down the route of single malt specifically, I assume. And if that is the case, all the bigger producers are going to be the ones producing single malt. So there's already in the north, Hinch and Ecklandville will produce single malt. They'll go for that market. So do Bushmills feel that they have to protect somehow the core brand of the 10 and the 16 and the 21 as their core malts? Potentially. I mean, look, the 21 will be protected for as long as possible, and probably the 16, but soon enough you'll have something which could compete directly with a 10-year-old at a price point, potentially.
Yeah.
And actually, that's coming quick. If Dunville's in 3 years' time can release a 10-year-old, which they can.
Yeah.
So that comes, I'm just wondering if that is the case. I think at the moment this is a peacock moment. It's a fantastic peacock moment so far for the ones I've tasted. Do you know what I mean? I've tasted 3 of the collection so far. That's the 95, the 2008, and the 10-year-old cognac for the German market. So they've done well so far. Let's see where we go. I've got a couple of people have asked a couple of quick things or said a couple of quick things. Let's have a look. James is saying the strategic restructuring of Bushmills brands after years of ambivalence. From Diageo, who understands Scotch for me is a 10-year project, and the new series is the first step to the haute couture that we're talking about. The challenge is lifting Bushmills' core variants out of the neglect that they've had. Interesting. I'm going to talk about the whiskey just now. I want people to give an honest kind of opinion of the 1995, and we'll start with, let me have a look. John Donnelly, you enjoying the 95?
Yeah, it's just like that old school Bushmills. It's got the Bushmills sort of trademark flavour profiles coming through. You know straight away what it is. To me, the price variance between that and the 2008 is a bit out, especially with the rarity on it. I wouldn't buy this that price.
Yeah, interesting enough. I mean, the price, so 25 years old and at 400 quid. 25 years at 400 quid. It's cheaper than a 25-year-old Redbreast at anything above 400 quid at the moment. And that includes a friend at hand, which I am massively shouting about continuously. So for 25 years old, and again, a deviation of cask, i.e. it's not a bourbon cask, we're using a separate cask. I think you'll find, John, that the price point on this at 400 quid is super damn cheap.
I think it's cheap, but I wouldn't just spend that money for this liquid.
Oh, I agree, John. Yes, I'm not saying 100%. Yes, totally. And actually, whether or not you want to buy 1, 2, or 0 is based on whether or not, first of all, the liquid's any good, and whether or not you feel it's worthy of the price point. But what I'm saying is, on a market look, if we look around at what's available, I think the price point is just about, if it's not spot on, it's good value for money. But that's just me. Taste wise, John, is it something you would go back to? Is it something that you would drink again?
If somebody gave it to me, I wouldn't say no.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't seek it out.
Well, that's important. That's good. Andreas, what do you make of the 95?
Price-wise, it's way out of our budget. So that's why we like to take part of this tasting.
Bringing the whiskey to the people, Andreas. Bring the whiskey to the people, making it available to them. Yeah.
Yeah, we like it,
and this is the reason because we are planning our vacation in the summer to Belfast. Hopefully we could do it. Yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
And the taste then on this, what do you make of it? So this is old style Bushmills. So you're definitely getting an old, certainly an older kind of profiling, because new profiling, I would definitely say that we have this up front with all of the single malts of an up front, and even with the core blends of a kind of stony fruit, peachy kind of note, apricots potentially, whatever that is. It's really nice stone fruit. This is slightly, well, as if it's not slightly, it's a hell of a lot deviating from that. There's a complete deviation. There's a stewed fruit element more than a stone fruit for me. What do you make of it?
I'm not so the tasting guy. I have problems to taste. I only have 3 grades. I like it. I could drink it. I don't like it.
Yes, Andreas, that's as simple as I like it also. Do you know what I mean? If it's not, if I don't like it, I don't put it back in the glass. That's a very important point. You know what I mean? Just do not put it in the glass. Just don't give it credence. Yeah.
Put it back in the glass. I think we only have 2 or 3 of this type of whiskies. We are lucky.
Good. Thank you very much, Daniel. What do you make of it? Daniel, liking it?
Do you know what? I didn't drink a lot of Bushmills at all up until this year, and I've just started getting into it. I do like it. I've never tasted some of those older ones that you were sort of referencing earlier on there, as comparisons. Is it some of those Millennium casks? Is that sort of the type you're relating it to comparing to?
No, I mean the Millennium cask is slightly different. So the Millennium cask is a 30-year-old. Is it not 30-year-old? Sorry, I'm getting mildly carried away with that. The Millennium cask that comes out, there's a 1975 edition and a 1989 edition. Both of them come out in the Millennium. Yeah, it's slightly different. I mean, they're kind of spoiled directly into kind of bourbon casks. You get a lot of wood, the actual cask itself coming through on those ones. No, we're talking about single cask representations around about the same kind of time, and they would be for the German markets, for the French market, and again, there's been single caskings for Celtic Whisky Shop and other places. They are and likes of America, Park Lane. Yeah, here's a couple of them just now. Garth has shown on the screen.
There's a few of them there.
Now,
so yeah,
so you had bourbon cask release, sherry cask release, rum cask release. There were 3, and there were single cask offerings. Some of them as low as 60 bottles, some up to about 250 odd bottles, give or take. And these were predominantly over the age of 10 years old, cask strength. And they are that type of, what you've just drunk there, that type of base, and yet in different casks. So I'm used to, when I'm going back and dipping into it, I'm used to a sherry cask or a rum cask or a bourbon cask. This Malaga cask is a way over here. It's like, it's totally different. So, I'm used to that base spirit that they have there at that point in time. That's a good reference point for me. And yet this cask, to me, blows me away. It blows me away.
Yeah, like I do really enjoy it. It is very nice. Like some of the notes, like there had like lovely, very gentle light in the nose, the sweetness. I can't pick out some of the fruits. Like I know there are fruits there, I just can't pick them out. Like obviously it's 25 years in wood, so I do get wood notes and like pine needles on the nose as well.
Yeah.
But I just can't pick out those fruits. I struggle with that.
But that's understandable. You definitely should get the wood. Like I maybe don't talk about it as much, but yeah, you definitely get the fact that this is, has spent a good length of time in a cask, so you get that. Is it overpowering the wood? No, I'm not sure. What I would say is you would definitely get, for some of those Millennium casks, you would get an overpowering wood note, which is very unfortunate. Right, okay. Something you would go back to, Daniel? Would you drink again?
Yeah, I would. Definitely.
Well, that's important. That's a good thing. Okay. Anyone else want to say something on it? We're okay. We all got opinions.
I think it's just like it's just fruits that we're not used to just biting down on. And it's because like I kind of got like mango, grapefruit, lime, stuff you're not just sticking your teeth into like every day. And there's like, I think it's just Malaga casks. Maybe it's just not like the stuff that really makes it 10 out of 10 for me. I really like this whiskey and it's a 9 out of 10, but I think just like with the yellow spot, I think it's Malaga cask as well, and it's my least favorite of the range. And this one here it's so good, and I hope I get to try some of those other kind of Causeway releases, because I think the different casks are just going to be like, holy crap, they can actually do stuff. I think it's just that I think they are threatened because everything's going the way of single cask, limited release, because actually, if you bring it back to what Louise is saying, if this was something that was added to the core range, would you run out and buy a bottle right now for the price? No, you'd probably leave it a while.
Yeah.
Because it's like Redbreast 27. I think that's like one of my perfect whiskies.
Yeah.
But I just haven't bought that bottle yet because I know it's around and I can come back to it later.
Yeah.
Whereas like the Redbreast 25, I'm like, it's equivalent to me, but I've gone and bought loads of it because I know it'll run out.
Yeah.
So I think that's why Bushmills aren't bringing out, new core, like, this is our 25, this is our whatever, because the trend at the minute is people buy the single casts and they buy the limited releases immediately, and that's all.
You're totally right, Gareth. 100%.
Yep, I would agree there. I'm just going to, a couple of wee things here. Where are we now? Hopefully someone answered that. No, we're not on the Redbreast Portress yet. We're on the Bushmills 1995 Malaga. Yes, that's where we're at. I just want to answer Michael Cully's question. I know, John, I think you might have answered it in the chat there. Does Whiskey Club have a membership for this year? Well, Michael, if you bought a box for any of our tastings, then you get a membership for the year. And or would delivery of samples be affected by Brexit? At the moment, I've got a couple of words that I could say, but one starts with F, the other one starts with O, and that's then Brexit post that. So I'm really not really that fussed about Brexit. I'm sure Brexit at some point will affect real businesses, but when it comes to clubs and social entities, I'm not sure. No one's given me the white paper on it from the department yet to tell me you must be abiding by all these superimposing rules. And until someone does that, Brexit doesn't exist. And it's no longer Brexit. Apparently, you're getting shouted at for even saying it's Brexit. It's now leaving Europe. And yet, I'm in Ireland, so I'm thinking that, who knows? And so are you, Michael. So, I think I just walk to the border and throw a box at you, and you're all right. Is that not what happens? No? We just walk to the border and just launch alcohol at people. Sure. But it's a good question. Listen, all you do is you message us directly, Michael, and when you want to take part, you get involved in your first tasting. So I think there's 2 tastings later on in January. There'll be 2 or 3 tastings every month. In fact, I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that's going on here anyway. So we will do that towards the end. Good. I'm glad people are enjoying that. There's Peter giving a shout out. Peter's still on. I mean, that's impressive that Peter must be listening to me in the background, having me, working away in the distillery and having me on the background. Okay, so we've moved on. Bushmills 1995 25-year-old Malaga cask, something special. Great, John, at your back. Okay, I'm going to leave the Connemara to the end. So we're going to go to the 27. So number 27. This is the 30-year-old single cask offering of Redbreast. Completely matured in port cask, yeah? 30 years old. Cask strength, 57.2%. That's a lot. That's a lot going on there, isn't it? But just to come back to your point, Gareth, we've got a 27-year-old Redbreast in and around about that 450 quid, mark. We go up 3 years. And we've got a one-off offering. The oldest expression outside of that Redbreast 32 for Redbreast. And yet, I think, again, although we're talking about big amounts of money, I'm not saying go out and buy a £600 bottle of whiskey, by the way, because I think that's mad. You know what I mean? But for value for money comparison to other bottles of its class or of its age, and its in its field, well, I think this is value for money. I think this is very good value for money. Pound on pound on pound on pound on pound value for money. But yeah, let's get.
Where's this single cask released through? Is it?
This is a single cask released directly through Whiskey Exchange in London. So this is Whiskey Exchange London. Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm really biased now because I've had it a couple of times now, and I'm just like, yeah. And I'm a massive fan of Redbreast. So these beautiful big red notes, great. Michael's saying I think it's fantastic and 100% in my top 5, but I don't know if it tops the Dreamcast 32. Michael, I think it's been a tough one, but I think I'm a massive fan of the Friend at Hand. And I think that this is now pushing the Friend at Hand for me, in a direction I don't want it to go. I mean, for me, Friend at Hand's here. Not fully mature. Oh, hold on. What does it say? Paul, not fully matured in portwood. From the website, it says a limited edition Redbreast matured in ex-bourbon barrels. It was recast into port. All right. Is that serious? Joanna, do you know what? I need to Google that because I thought this was fully, and I think everyone's talked about this as being a fully matured, or at least is it not part of it that is specifically? Is it like what? No, at least one part of it has a component part of it. Is it, or has it just been recast? I'm now going to go and look at that. Thank you very much for bringing that up because everyone and their dog, I think, talks about this as being solely port cask. Let's have a look at it. Thank you much, by the way, for bringing that up. If it was a If it was a Glendronach at 30 years old, surely it'd be going for closer to $1,000. I think you're quite right, Connor. 100%. Yeah, it would. And Michael, if you've never tasted the Friend at Hand, you're going to definitely have to. You're going to have to taste some. You're going to have to do a wee side by side on that. Let's have a look here. Was anyone else aware of that? I actually thought this was fully port. I mean, I'm getting it definitely when I read the label on the bottle, I thought it was full.
Yeah, the label says all port, but the website does say
all port, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But at the text, as was you read out there, limited edition 1989 Redbreast single pot still, bottled exclusively for the Whiskey Exchange. And then initially matured in ex-bourbon barrels. It was recast in 1995.
It just doesn't make sense.
So hold on, 1995, Cask gives it 25 years in port. Yeah.
Yeah, but it says 1989 Redbreast, and then initially matured in ex-bourbon barrels, recast in 1995. So how can they put all port onto that?
Yeah, and do you know that's coming from so I mean, Whiskey Exchange, no offense to them, they don't write the labels, like, you know what I mean. So why would the distillery put all port on it? I can understand there's been a write up.
Yeah,
I can get that, and I just don't understand what's more likely to be wrong, the label or the write up.
Surely, with Middleton being above the write up,
I think the write up might be wrong because I think the label.
Surely they'd get absolutely hated if it was the label was wrong. Like if they are one of the kind of main guys protecting that.
Surely the label has to go legal and everything has to be green lit before it's done.
This is. Do you know what? This is a massive debate, and we really need people to now question our brand ambassadors. So we need to get on to Joe McGowan up here in the north, and we need to get on to in the south, Jared Garland. Let's the King of Redbreast, or the Prince of Redbreast, or the King of Redbreast, or whatever, because he is just fantastic. I'm sure he'll know the answer. So I'm sure we'll get an answer from that. But I think if I was the distillery, and I'm putting on a label that it is port, then and quite specifically again, 100% says all port single cask. all port single cask.
Well, at the end of the day, if you think about it, who's more likely to have the information to be able to verify that?
Brendan Cardy, where is he?
No, but you know what I mean. If it's a write-up versus the labeling, who has access to that information? Who should be getting it right?
I don't know, but here,
so
for us today, it's maybe not the biggest massive issue, because for me, it's going to be about tasting this. So even if it is a recasking, we've got 25-year-old liquid, in port, 25 years in port, then that's interesting. But I think it's going to be about the taste. Paul, that hat, Maria Nelson. Oh, thanks very much, Maria. Yeah, get her. She needs to be barred. She's gone on my hat again. That's a different hat. That's a completely different hat. What are you on about? You must have been so drunk the other night. It's a completely different hat.
Change the colours.
Different colours. Different colour. Come on, Maria. Just because it doesn't say Louis Vuitton on it, you're cracking up at me. I mean, it's just not a named hat. So listen, she's barred anyway. She's barred from now. So here we go. Let's have a wee look here. Paul, also a massive fan of the Redbreast. So far, top one is the 25-year-old from the Celtic Whisky Shop. Interesting too. The Method Man is 28. Is recast. Someone's got a. Is that Serge? John, knock him off for a second, would you?
2 seconds.
Just Serge, I think. Mate. Yeah.
Oh, he's unmuted himself already.
Take him back off.
There we go.
If not.
Is it me?
Serge, it's you, yes.
That heavy breathing.
It's like an electronic.
Looks like a fan or something.
Some sort of feedback.
Probably the fan from my laptop.
Yeah. So Sean's saying it was recast 95. Look, I think this is something we need to go and find. It was in a port single cast for 25 years. Question mark. Lorcan. We're just going to. Do you know what? We don't know who to believe. Do we believe the write-up? Do we believe the label? I don't care. All I care about is the taste. Care about the colour? Yeah, look at the colour. Stunning. Yep. Now, Andreas, I know you've got your marking systems 1, 2, or 3. Okay, 3 being shite, 2 being you maybe need a shite, but number 1 being it's absolutely amazing. Is this a number 1? Put you under pressure now. Put you under pressure.
Yeah. I think it's a close one for me with the Middleton 20 years because it's not so much alcohol in it, in the Middleton. So these 2 are my number 1 and 2, or number 1A and number 1B.
Oh, so you really like it? Oh, wow.
Yes.
Right. Okay, well, I just meant, are you okay? I mean, I just meant, is it thumbs up, thumbs maybe, or thumbs down? But that's good. So it's definitely thumbs up. That's good. We like that. Okay.
2 thumbs.
There we go. Listen, I think Connor might have solved the problem. So we have an answer here. Connor might have solved the problem. He believes that write-up that is given for the Redbreast all port single cask is the wrong write-up, and that write-up is for, he believes, the 28-year-old Dream cask. That's what he believes the write-up's for. That's interesting. Okay, that's potential, but potentially that's what it is. Okay, who knows? I think we'll go with the labeling, because I think if there's a label on it, the distillery cares about getting that right. I know this for a fact that they recalled the friend at Hans New Middletons because the labeling suggested that it was a aged statement without it being an aged statement, and they took away the labeling. There's something that was just, for all intents and purposes, for us drinkers, we would have gone, yes, thanks very much. That's perfectly fine. We're okay with that. But for the distillery, they were very concerned that it would have given off the wrong impression and then went and relabeled. So I think they're very keen to make sure they get it right. Anyone not liking this? Anyone thinking that this is a really, really bad whiskey and should not have been released? Because I'm happy to feedback the idea and say, listen, don't produce any more whiskey like this because no one really likes it. No? Nope. That's what I thought. Eh?
I had I was drinking the Dream Cask, third one, so the most recent, the 28-year-old port. I had that last night, and I actually think the whiskey exchange that we're drinking now is actually better.
I would say, like, for me at the moment, my list of preferences goes friend of hand 25, the 28-year-old, okay, and then the 32. That was my preference points. That was kind of, and then between all of that, I've got lots of other ones, but this is now somehow squeezed in there. This is kind of pushing the boundaries of as where that now sits. I really like the tempo when I tried that the other day. So I'm going to have to go through these. I think I'm going to have to do a big redbreast day of just me tasting redbreasts and go through them. And it's going to be a tough job. I am going to go through them and I'm going to make sure that I know where they all sit because I think that,
anytime you want.
Well, John, I mean, John, we've done tastings together. We know we could do that. And we'd have some crack doing it. But I'm going to spend a whole day. I think it will take me that length of time to go through all those whiskies. You know what I mean? All those kind of single cask releases and get to the point where I'm comfortable in naming my top five maybe. Really good, really good. I'm loving it. It's such a beautiful red kind of fruit soaking into the mouth. And for what I want people to understand is this is a heavier pot still, lots of spice on it. Really, there's a lot of spice there. Particularly in the front, and it smooths right out, creaminess, and tell him to get that fan off my screen, John. Kick him. But yeah, lovely kind of. It's lovely kind of red laces, red apples, really thick kind of fruity jam, berries. I really like that. It's good.
I find it hard to believe it's an all port, given the redbreast DNA coming through it. Like compared to the 27, the Dream Cask. I would expect a very different flavour profile, but you can pick out those very similar flavours.
Yeah.
And it can't just be the sort of spirit coming through there.
Yes. I agreed there, John. I agreed on that. What do you make of? I'm trying to think who's not been speaking very much. Who've we got? Gockle! Can you hear me? Is it coming on? Are you going to come and say something? You don't have to. It's perfectly fine if you don't want to. And I think Kevin's been sitting silent. I haven't managed to get Kevin back on. Kevin? Do you know what? You can message me. You can put it into the chat. I want to know your opinions on this. And in a minute, I'm going to come round and I want to know exactly what your preferences was for the evening. And you can't run away without saying that. That would be that would not be good. Okay, last one, and it's only last because of the peat content. It's the only one in here with peat on it. So we're going to go for bottle number 1. Okay, and that's the Connemara Turfmoor. It's the original Connemara Turfmoor. So the new Turfmoors have been slightly been watered down. I think they're at 46% ABV. This is the original, the first release, which was at a high end 58.2%. Okay. Bottle number 1. Yep, here we go. Serge, that is some fan you've got going on there. It's like you're riding a wee moped.
Me?
Ah, it's your fan.
I need a new laptop.
Yes, I definitely would concur with that. But you can just mute yourself. You're okay. You can mute yourself. Or John will do it for you. No, Serge, you took it back off. I took it back off. You're just messing around now, Serge. You're just messing. You're like a Kid in the playground, having a bit of crack. Okay, so Connemara, Turf Moor, peated. Non-age statement. Don't believe it.
Success in Germany.
Say again.
That was a massive success in Germany, Turf Moor.
Really, I can imagine. To be honest, I can imagine. I'm sure they'll absolutely love it. Yeah, loving that note. There's like Sicilian lemons in here, like on the nose. It's lemon, apple, lovely whiff of smoke on the nose. So peated over 50 ppm, so not massive, you know, in terms of the Scotch stuff. You know what I mean? Definitely not. But I just love the smell. I mean, this is just sitting, you know, in a wee cottage somewhere, in a wee cottage in Donegal, or a wee cottage just having the fire on, and it's just great. You know, I really like it. And it is what it is. It should be that kind of, you know, smokiness on the actual, that kind of peatiness on the taste. And sometimes Connemara's, I think they're all very good. I don't think I'm not let down by Connemara. I just tend to find that this is a sherry edition. I like the 22, but this, to me, the original, is just so good. The cask strengths are great as well, by the way. Cask strengths are super. Yes, Paul, you heard Turf Moor. That is correct. Turf Moor cask strength, not the 46% one. Nah, this is the real stuff. Glad you could come on there. So yeah. What are people's thoughts? What are people thinking about this? Because this, again, we're on a divisive whiskey insofar as that it's peated, you know. And again, I wanted to put in to the cask strength box. I wanted to put in a cask strength peated whiskey. You know, I think we deserve that. You know.
Hey, this is the first Connemara that didn't disappoint me. Every time I go to Connemara, I love peated whiskey, love Islay whiskey. You know, some of the Campbelltown Springbank stuff. This is the first Irish peated whiskey that I'm going, it could have been so much better. I think this is amazing. I think it's really good how it's done it. I think some of their normal stuff, you almost feel like they're afraid to go too peaty.
Yeah.
Or to try and be like Scotch. Well, I'm really liking this.
Yeah, because it's on a par, isn't it? It's on a par. In terms of the peatiness on here. So original Connemara's or normal Connemara's are in around that kind of 20 to 30 ppm. Yeah. So this one being at 50, it's 50 plus, between 50 and 60 ppm. It's more in the kind of range of, where would it be? You know, in terms of Scotch, maybe like a Lagavulin, potentially. Yeah. Above a Lagavulin, so maybe closer to an Ardbeg, a kind of starter point of an Ardbeg, you know, kind of peated whiskey.
But the ppm is also a bit misleading as well. It's not a very accurate guide.
No,
really.
No, it's not. No, it's definitely not. But it's you know, for the point of view, this one is a distinction between the rest of its core range. You know, so the rest of the core range is actually slightly less peatier. You know, and through that ppm process, the nose is just great. I think the nose is great. You definitely got the apple, and for me it's the lemon citrusy kind of note. But yeah, And then on the mouth, creamy peat, because is that something we can say? Creamy peat, you know, vanillas, lots of sugar. Yeah. And again, that citrus note coming through this time. Yeah, maybe this time is there a slight kind of Seville orange kind of peel on it? I don't know, but it's really, really nice. Really nice. And I love the finish on it. The finish has that. This is why I put this in the box. It's one of my favourite Irish whiskies, and I mean this because it could easily be a Scotch whiskey. The thing that differentiates it between a Scotch and an Irish at this point is the sweet apple and the citrus, and then at the very end on the finish, the kind of biscuity kind of flavour, the kind of biscuity kind of note which I get, which is really, really nice. And that really does differentiate it. Those kind of notes differentiate it from Scotch. It's a little bit cleaner, you know. I think it's a little bit cleaner than the Islay whiskies. But yes, absolutely brilliant. Really, really good. And I hope that people, because when I put this box together, I was thinking of whiskies that I like, that I wanted people to taste. And if they hadn't tasted the Connemara Toughmore Original cask strength, then I thought this might be a treat. For some, it might just be, why are you giving me peated whiskies, you mental case? But there's a reason for it. Peated whiskey is going to start taking over little parts of the Irish whiskey industry. So you're going to see lots of the distilleries now looking at ways to create peated whiskey. So you are going to see it. It's going to be on the menu. I'm giving you a window into that environment that we're going to see some peated whiskies coming. Definitely from Cologne. Definitely from Hinch. Definitely from Blackwater. Definitely there's loads of them. Sleeve League. There's going to be loads of people who want to have peated whiskies, you know, coming out of the distillery, you know. And yes, Paul says if there is anyone who doesn't like the Connemara, to give him the samples because he likes it. So that's definitely, he can give it to a good home. Any distillery is going to use Irish peat. Save Our Nation, Peter. Yes, I believe they are. I believe we're going to see some distilleries doing that. 100%. Why not? Okay. Who doesn't like it? Put your hand up, cry, you know, tell me the story. What's wrong?
We don't like the peat, really, right. But if I could take away the ashtray,
yes,
the whiskey is tasting really good.
Yeah, good.
But I have to take away the ashtray in the beginning.
Yeah, do you get those? I mean, do you get those fruits that I'm talking about? Do you get all that stuff that I'm talking about? You know what I mean? Because I mean, sometimes I always think that I never want to lead an audience. I certainly don't want to lead people on what they're tasting. But I think I get a wee bit. Sometimes I get a wee bit unsure of myself when I'm tasting it. I'm going, am I actually tasting the right stuff here? Are we on the same bottle? But it's making sure that you know, that those tasting, like there are some clear parts of whiskies we can actually step aside from the smoke, and actually we can say we like the smoke or dislike the smoke, but we can step that aside and we should be able to find other flavours. Sometimes peated whiskies are just overpowered by that peat and smoke, and yet I find this extremely delicate and complex, and allows us to go and actually pick up lots of different parts to it. The fact that we've got that beautiful spiciness, there's a vanilla note coming all the way through. There's even like candied fruits, maybe like red kind of berries that have been picked out. There are some lovely fruits in there. I genuinely do think though that it's that citrus note, and I think it's lemon to start with. I think it maybe on the taste it kind of formulates into an orange kind of peel. But
cola cubes.
Yeah, do you get cola cubes? Do you know? I think you're not the first person I've heard say something like that about this, and having that. No, I don't get it. And again, that's just because I think everyone has different notes to find. But I love cola cubes, so I don't get it specifically, but I do get I get that candied, so the candied red fruit specific, and whether or not that's the same as cola cube, I'm not sure. Like a frosty.
Always once the little balls that were green, white, red, and they were candy fruit balls.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But I'm not sure if even if I
showing your age.
Sometimes I taste Frosties. I don't know if people remember Frosty, but maybe it's that. Maybe it's that type of taste I'm getting. So Andreas, you're totally okay not to be liking the peat. I get that. I'm sorry I put it in your box. Next time I'll.
Yeah, but no, it's okay. But the whiskey is too good to give it to who was it? To Peter?
Yeah, Paul Graham.
No,
Paul Graham. Yeah, he wants it.
It's too good. No,
I wouldn't.
It's too less peat, so I will take.
There you go.
I will drink it.
There you go. So there's James. Yep, look, we're laying down malt using Peter from Pete. I assume you say from the backside of Sleeve League. I think that's what you're meaning to say there. So there you go. Well done, James, for answering that. Excellent. Thought I was giving the right kind of information there. Thank you very much. Keith, what do you make of that? You liking that? Is the Connemara doing it for you?
Yeah, it smells great. The nose is fantastic. I never really got a lot of peat until I tasted the 2 Stacks Blender's Cut, and it's only got a small amount of peat in it, but it really comes through. So yeah, this was good because it'll give you like another step towards sort of peat journey.
Good peat journey. Yeah, I think for those if you want to cross over to the dark side over peated Scottish whiskies, this is a lovely stepping stone. This is a lovely welcome to peat kind of drink.
I think you can choose different one. Is pretty good. The pot still Brendan had in the whiskey week, the peated pot still.
Yes.
In non-GA, I still have half that left. It's amazing. It's really good.
See, good, because you're going to see that. John was making the point, he was helping me out there, Keith, that the Scotch may be equivalent, and I think I did mention it. I think there's a slight resemblance of an Ardbeg here, lower kind of entry level Ardbegs. There's a similarity.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Let's see who else. James, James, come on! I know you're here. You can chat away to us. What do you make? Do you have the Connemara in front of you? Do you have it in front of you?
I don't, but I've got some in the kitchen there and tried it a while ago. I've got the cask strength.
Super. How are things?
So
James, how are things? Good.
Go, Paul. Yeah, actually, considering how bad the year was for most people, I think we actually had a really pretty good year. I mean, we didn't hit budget, but we hit much better than we thought we might do when March hit, and we've got the distillery started, so we've got the steel frames going up next week. Kit really good, and we've got a few more releases for Silky to come during the year, so it's exciting times for us.
Super. Listen, I was blown away, and I'm glad you came on, because here, first of all, blown away by your input into the festival, and thank you very much for that. Really do appreciate what you guys did there. And again, the Dark Silky, and Daniel Moody is sitting with 2 bottles of Dark Silky cask strength, which I got sent to his house because I couldn't get it delivered. Because I couldn't get it delivered across the border. But I'll be honest, we actually had John, who's in this group here, chatting away. He's waving away. I did a corporate tasting for John's work, just before Christmas there, and he actually put into the tasting a bottle of the Dark Silky cask strength, and it got and listen, there was a lot of people from England, wasn't there? There was people from where were they from, John? They're from England,
London.
Yeah, and here they really bought into that. They really liked your cask strength peated, Dark Silky. So your hat off to you. You know what I mean? It did greatly.
We got kind of lucky though, because I think when we were ready to launch in March, and then COVID hit, and everybody just battened down the hatches. And I mean, we had it in bottles sitting in the distillery, so we just put it up on the website. And then the Friday night Dram crowd went a bit nuts for it one night, and we almost had 3 months of a free run where no one was bothering to launch anything, waiting for COVID to pass. And so the conversation was kind of around Dark Silky, which was different enough at the right time, and a bit of luck. So I think I've had a few guys say to me it tastes very commercial, and then sort of ducking in case I'd be offended by that. But I mean, heaven forbid we try and make something that actually sells.
Could you imagine that? I've missed out on the red one so far. Is there any left?
So there's no cask strength left, but there's the 46% is left.
Oh,
but if you
no
speak sweetly
cask
to me,
strength
I'll
left.
tell you what. I'll talk to Moira and I'll see, because she's got a couple secreted away in the office.
Oh, do you know what? I'm yeah.
So
Well, I'll tell you
last
what.
time we did it, we had some great sample.
I'll tell you what. I was yeah. I'm kicking myself when I missed it. Do you know what? Sometimes it just gets to the point where you kind of look around, going, "I need to buy this. I need to buy this. I need to buy," and then you kind of go, "Okay, I just didn't buy that. I should be buying that." Tell me this, and I've mentioned it a couple of times, maybe not during this festival week, but I've mentioned it a couple of times in my tastings recently. Really impressed. In fact, I did mention it this week. I've been really impressed by the fact that you got up and running with the with the crowdfunding.
Yeah, it was a really interesting exercise. I mean, we were, to be fair, we were split as a board as to whether we should actually do it or not, because just given the kind of COVID environment, you just didn't know whether it's a pretty public fail if you go out on the crowdfunding site and then don't get your numbers. So, but actually what it did for us was we kind of found our voice. You know, we've been, although I might not sound like it now, Moira and I are both quite strongly introverted and quite shy, and it kind of forced you to put your story out there and really tell it with confidence, and then the whole machine just takes over. And the Crowdcube is a fantastic format. It's interesting. It's actually not a recognised legal format in Ireland. So we have a branch office in the UK. So we because I've got my finance director's based over there. So we have another company based there that we sell to for the UK, which meant that we could run the whole thing through the UK company, although the shares are in the Irish company. But it's the actual concept of crowdfunding doesn't exist in Irish law.
Right.
So it's not. So you are kind of conscious that we couldn't say sign up here because all of the tweets and everything were coming out of Ireland. So everything had to be, you can find us here, and then a link to sort of Crowdcube, and then you could, but you couldn't actually encourage someone to register. So there's some quite interesting kind of legal challenges to try and work through, but it was really overwhelmingly successful. Most of the presents and rewards have gone out now. So we've got 1,200 new members of the family. So there's kind of bottles.
It's unbelievable. I just think it's unbelievable. And do you know what? I think I'm in awe by it. I really am in awe by it. I think for me, when I look at a crowdfunding opportunity like that, I look at the people who are local to you. Do you know what I mean? Local people who want to play a part in what's going on there, the dream, the big build, this idea. I think the fact that it's limited to 1,000 odd people, just about, that it's I just think it's just the right amount of number. There's enough local people in the area. You've then got like a family of people who are buying into the concept of Sleeve League and what's going on there. I think it's just right. I think everyone should look at it and go, well done. Hats off to you just now. And really impressed of what you've done.
Interestingly, we've got less people from the UK from local people. Yeah. So that was the interesting thing, is I think people kind of were concerned that there was some kind of catch to it, which was kind of bizarre. But actually, but by the same token, there were guys. It appealed to the sort of diaspora in a kind of really interesting way, and we got some people like me who are kind of first generation. So my dad, my mum and dad are from Donegal, and they went over to England. I was brought up there, hence the accent. Yeah. And the number of people that it kind of really pulled at their heartstrings was quite something. And but whether Biggie Lynn, there you go, Thomas is on from Germany, so the whole Biggie Lynn thing is still going, and Andreas, yes. So all of the prizes going out at the moment, so there's special releases and glassware, and we've taken a whole new level of postage and packaging. I can tell you, our poor courier here he just was giving up the will to live on some days.
Oh, listen, hats off to you. I think had it been any other year, and I'll be frank, had it been any other year, and if I wasn't organising probably the biggest event I've ever organised personally, do you know what I mean? Then I would have probably bought in as much as possible. I probably would have bought up as many shares as possible, or whatever I was allowed to do, because I just think this year, for me personally, this is my personal note, is that usually I give to, not that I give to charity, but I give to local guys here in Belfast. I give them like little startups and I give them an opportunity. Do you know what I mean? I've done that in the past. I like to help people. But I just felt, unfortunately, I was in the position, James, this year where I was like, I wouldn't mind if someone helped me for 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Give me a break. So I was just pushed for it. But I always thought in my head it would be great for local people. So local people are missing a trick here, because they're going to have something on their doorstep where, do you know what? You're feeding into that local economy. There's no doubt about that. You know, we talk about the guys in the club, you know, and as a club it's just getting bigger and bigger. But as the guys in the club want to go and visit, and I know we've had a couple of guys go down there recently, to, you know, within the year have gone to the distillery, and I think that, you know, we want places to go and visit. Distillery tours are going to be super important. You know, I think, you know, great for the brand, but also great for the enthusiasts, great for the drinkers. You know, and particularly people who come here on holiday. So if Andreas decides to come over here, he comes to Belfast, maybe he wants to spend 3 or 4 days in the south when he's here, that's what they'll do. So really big, really impressed. And I do honestly, again, brilliant if we can get something that's super positive down there, get a beautiful distillery up and running, visitor centre and all that we talked about. I think it's just great. And do you know what?
And we've got some double distilled peated single malt lying down here at the moment, which probably would tickle your fancy. So,
I'm just.
But there's also, if you go on the website as well now, we've got a live streaming camera down there, so you can actually follow the whole build all the time. So it's on the Sleep League Distillers and then / Ardra Distillery. You can see exactly what's going on the site the whole time. And it's got a Zoom feature on it. So I caught the architect with his hands in his pockets the other day and screen grabbed it and sent him a WhatsApp saying, "Oi, come on, dude, I'm paying you."
Okay, that's good. But that's good. You know, that's proper interaction, isn't it? And that is again, particularly for the people who have given you, you know, the you know, X amount of pound in order to support the venture. That they're going, you know what? It's a Sunday afternoon. You know, let's have a look at, see the progression level. That's great. Tuesday, I'm not, that meeting get cancelled. I'm going to have a wee look. What builders are on site? Who's going to? I think that's quite smart. It's kind of, do you know, it's kind of very. Well, first of all, it's very unusual, but it's actually quite smart. It's a smart ploy. Keeps people interested, you know, and it'll look nice. It'll look nice for your no offense, but going forward for your marketing going forward. It'd be nice to see this continuous structure growing. You know,
we always did a time lapse for the 24-hour concourse. So yeah, exactly. No, it's good fun. So you know, the moment life's good, and you know, hopefully for all of us, we get a good run of 2021 now, which is the main thing.
Yes, and look, we're hoping to get you involved again for the festival this year. Hopefully, get you up into Belfast. Hopefully, we're physical. Do you know what I mean? But look, we're planning on all eventualities. But you know, we'll keep that alive. But look, we look forward to that support, and I genuinely do appreciate it. Thank you much.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for that. It's been a great crack tonight, and the gin one I loved as well. So it was really great hearing people talk about gin without tonic in it for it to change.
Listen, your gins went down an absolute treat. You know, there wasn't a bad word said. I was actually.
No, we thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We really, really did.
I'm looking for the cask drink. I'm just looking to hear.
I think we didn't make a gin favorite of it, so you know.
I'm looking at the notes here. There was no negative, so there was no. I was writing it all down, but there was no negatives on either two of those gins. In fact, the Amaro one was getting some positives, like real positives. So people thinking, and I think they were purchasing them. I'm right in saying people were purchasing as well.
Yeah, there was some purchases on straight afterwards on the website. Yeah. But I think it's a whiskey drinker's gin, that one.
Yeah, sorry about that, James. The right kind of. Sorry for that. I wasn't expecting people to go and purchase it, so I wasn't, you know.
With the checks in the post.
Oh, is that right? That's dead on. I'm glad we got that sorted.
I will not kind of big up Paul too much or anything to give him too much of an ego, but in fairness though, it was really good to have the opportunity of trying gins like for like, without tonic, without signature serves, without cocktails, just go in there neat, every single one. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a great experience. and I wish there was more tastings like that with gin. I really do.
Yeah, I think you see how diverse Irish gin is, but also I think there's some really, really good gin distillers out there, because
definitely.
The techniques of kind of maintaining delicate flavors within those things is really quite a challenge. So, I sadly I don't get to distill anymore because Moira's better at it than me. But when it comes to gin, so I think it's the diversity of Irish gin is something special.
It is indeed. Listen, I'm going to go round the room because I want to just get people's before everyone buggers off. I just want to get people's kind of thoughts on what the best kind of one was for this evening. So I'm just going to just tell me the one that you would pick out of all of this. What's your number one? Who'd like to start? They can just come on the mic and then we'll just take it from there. I have no issue.
I don't mind kicking off because to me the Dunval's was a standout. So it's absolutely amazing. Connemara was the best Connemara I've had. The best peated Irish, but Dunval's has complexity. Just had everything going for it.
Okay, and just to pick that up on the Connemara, we had Peter saying that he was trying the cask strength. He was on the cask strength 57.9% one, and he's just saying needs a higher peat coming through, but it's well balanced. So yeah, slight difference here on this one. I think there's a lot more peat on the Turfmoor original than there is on the cask strength. Okay, we should go with Gockle. Or Keith, you know what, Keith, you had your mic on. Keith, go for it.
Yeah, the Bushmills Malaga for me, and then just closely followed by the Dunvilles. But yeah, I enjoyed them all.
Good lad, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Keith.
Thanks, lad.
Not a ball at all. Ricky.
Yeah, I would go with John and say the Dunvilles actually.
Okay.
Followed by Bushmills, followed by Clone.
Right, okay, super. Yeah, okay. We can see where this trend is going. This is interesting. And do you enjoy yourself, Richard? Good night.
Why?
And how?
Why?
Listen,
I always enjoy myself.
Listen, Ricky, thanks for all the help for this year. Absolutely, really appreciated all the help that you've put in. Absolutely brilliant. And
I haven't done anything this year yet.
Oh, right. You know what I meant? No, you know what I meant. All right, aye. All that help that you've done today. That's dead on. You're funny. You're funny.
All the time.
Good guy. Yeah. If you've done nothing all this year, I won't have to, help you or repay you. Ricky. Listen, I hope Helen's feeling great. I hope she's feeling much better.
Doing well.
Good. Where is Serge? That microphone again. Serge, that microphone. Thank you. Good lad. Good man. Good. Sorry. Andreas, what's your favourite of the evening?
My favourite was the Middleton and the Redbreast. And all the others on place 2.
Right, good.
And Sabine likes the Middleton and the Dunville.
Really? Yeah, super. Good.
Yeah. And the Cologne surprised me today. I tried it before.
No, we don't have this one.
This one. And the Cologne is not the best, I think, but today it surprised me.
There you go. Super. Okay, thank you very much. Very honest.
Gockel is only watching. He is under medication.
Ah, right. Okay. That's okay.
Maybe we are catching up. We have a little bit in the bottle, so we make a private second one.
Good. I hope he's feeling much better than if he's on the medication. Daniel.
I'm going to have to go with the Redbreast. I just thought that was number one for me.
Yep. Super. That's good. I'm glad you enjoyed that, Daniel. And Daniel, what's been the best tasting, rum one or this one?
I thought the rum was gas crack, although there was only 2 of us drinking, wasn't there? But there were a couple of the others were.
Yeah, I wasn't even drinking rum that day. I was drinking champagne.
There was 5 people drinking. There was 5 people drinking rum. 5 people drinking rum. Yeah. But there was only. The problem is when people come on here, there might only be 1 or 2. Then you've got people on. So I'm looking at the live feed just now. There'll be people on there. So I know Joanna's on. There's other people on here, drinking, but they're not on this chat. So yeah, we missed the likes of there was a couple of our guys that were drinking the rum. But yes, the rum was better. It was better crack, was it? That was some crack.
Louise and I were on till 8 o'clock or something.
Yeah, we kept it going.
Mad. You guys are mental. Well, I'm
I love to talk.
I'm glad you had fun. Gareth?
Yeah.
I probably stereotypically going to go for the dumbbells and the cologne because I just can't stop drinking them. Like, they're just too interesting.
Right.
And actually, I would come back to the muscatel, which I kind of gave a bit of a pass the first time I tried it, but it's just so damn fruity.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good.
Fruity. Is that Anthony from Irish Whiskey Auctions on? Is it?
Balance.
I don't know. Are you going to take your microphone off, Anthony? Are you? Sure. We'll come back to him. We'll come back. Who have we not spoken to yet? Let me see. James. Wait. Oh, James, did you have this box? Or were you just on for the crack?
No, I didn't have the box, but I had some of the whiskies. I've got them in my collection. So,
well, what's your preference there? The ones you've been drinking. What was your preference there?
So I'm a big fan of Dunvilles at the moment. So I have to say I haven't got that Bushmills Malaga, but I'm going to go and get it and try it. So.
Yeah, I think that's well worth trying. The Malaga cask is well worth trying, James. You're just right. Kevin, then. So, Kevin, are you going to say something? Just say something, Kevin. Anything. It's like Kevin's Home Alone, like, you know what I mean? Sorry, I had to play on that. I had to do that. Like, so I know Joanna has been watching here. I'm just wondering, guys, anyone who's on the Facebook and the YouTube, if they want to put a comment in there, they can leave their comments as to what their favourite one was. Anthony, is it Anthony? I mean, look, it's Anthony. Haven't been looking at my phone yet. 2 seconds. Come on. Let me just see.
Yes, Paul.
Yes, I was going to say, because you're not camera shy. I mean, don't pretend that you're camera shy. Like, I've seen your videos.
I am camera shy. I don't like being, I don't like being hardly photographed or filmed. I mean,
Get on. You're getting filmed with your cute little outfits on. Your wee elf outfit. I mean, here.
I was gonna say he's still wearing it. That's why he's not on camera.
Exactly. And he's got his stockings on.
Let's be honest.
He's got his elf stockings on and his wee high heels.
I got them for Christmas. Special gift from Katie.
Listen, I didn't realise she was into cosplay. I mean, that's fair play to her. Fair play.
Right, there I go. My camera's on. What do you want?
No, listen. Oh, what I want. I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you. I just want to say genuinely big thanks for the entire year and what you've managed to, first of all, put up with. That's very important. And then secondly, what you've managed to achieve, which is bringing whiskey to over 1,000 boxes you've managed to somehow pass around the world to help people be involved in the festival. So I genuinely do appreciate that, and I really do appreciate the amount of time and patience that you have given to me, because not many people give that type of patience. I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
Patience more than anything else. The time, the money, everything else I can give away freely. It's the patience that you really work on, I have to say.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. I mean, if there's one thing you could box up and keep, as a box of patience and just take little mouthfuls of it, that'd be great. Do you know what I mean? But it's like I
think Gareth, I'll be getting prescription for that, actually. I don't know if I'm sure you've treat that all right, yeah. Valium, I think.
2x4, you just have to take it to Paul's house and just give him a bit.
No, honestly, Anthony, genuinely, what has gone on at Irish Whiskey Auctions is nothing much more than a miracle. You've gone from strength to strength since you started. It has been a pleasure to watch, to be part of, to buy bottles through the auctions, to sell bottles through the auctions. I've done that also. But what's going on there is just great, and I genuinely am uber impressed by what's going on. That mad idea that even you thought was mental, to have an auction, blah blah, and you were we had those early conversations. I knew you were going to succeed in a heartbeat. I told you everyone and the dog wanted to get rid of all the whiskey because it's crap.
I didn't realize I succeeded, Paul. That's I'm still waiting for the success bit to come along.
Up. No, hold on. You've sold the most expensive secondary market Irish whiskey. Yes.
Actually, topped that. Not only did we sell that, but the miniature that we sold last month per ml works out. I mean, if you value it up at the way it was, so it was a 50 ml bottle and it sold for €3,000. What that if you extrapolate that out to a pearl, it actually values a bottle of Middleton Pearl at €55,000.
Yeah, that's mental. I doubt very much you're ever going to get 55 grand. Maybe you will. I don't know. But here you're doing. You know what? But I do mean this. I mean, I did say that people will want to get rid of their whiskey, and you've got that. But at the same time, there's always been, in Ireland specific, but there's always been people who want to collect and have collected Irish whiskey for a long, long time. So it's nice to see a lot of people expanding their collections, but also people new to collecting and drinking. So you're getting a lot of people buying through the auction just to try some new whiskey, which has been really good. The amount of times I've seen people posting a wee picture up saying delivery today from Irish whiskey auctions, yay! And then they crack it open to drink it. So it's been a great thing, I think, for the whiskey community. You have had a big part to play in the Belfast Whiskey Week. That's important, and I have to keep leveling that out and saying, listen, if it wasn't for yourself, the team down there, Katie, obviously she obviously really supports what we've been doing, but you've managed to get
me from killing you.
Yeah, she's been very good at that. Thank you very much, Katie, for not letting Anthony kill me. But you know, honestly, you've done me honestly a hell of a lot of proud. I'm very proud of what you guys have achieved. But I think everyone who gets the boxes is really, really impressed. Like everyone who gets what you do is impressed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for us it's a no-brainer because it's not and I genuinely do mean this. I had this conversation only the other day with somebody else. It's actually not about us and what we're doing. And the more people that can taste Irish whiskey through events like yours or through the Cask Strength Crusade or through anything else, the better it is. I mean, for everybody, for all the distilleries, all the bloggers, literally for everybody associated with Irish whiskey. And then ultimately the consumers, because they get to taste the distilleries there's more choice because there's more demand and everybody gets more stuff. So there's no losers in it. I really don't think there's any losers. It's just about driving as many people into Irish whiskey. And look, events like Belfast Whiskey Week are unfortunately will be the future. I mean, yes, I really love coming to Belfast to do the things with you, but I think we're going to have an online element forever on the day now, and it's great for overseas people to be able to get engaged as well.
Yeah, no, and we definitely will. You know, we definitely will be. You know, focusing on. I'm going to talk a wee bit if people want to stay on and have a yarn with me, but I'm going to just to let this run as a live stream. I'm just going to talk about the future of what we have planned here and what this year looks like in terms of what we expect to be doing. But yeah, look. It's just been great that you've been part of it so far, and I know that you want to keep doing that. I know that you're supporting me.
Oh, I do.
Sorry, your name's on the boxes now. You can't run away from it.
Backing out.
There's no backing out now. But no, like I've got other collaboration projects that I've been working on and will work on, and I think that I see there's cogs in the network now that really make things work, and I've definitely seen that even if I wasn't doing the Belfast Whiskey Week and if I wasn't doing other things, the impact that the Irish Whiskey Auctions has had on the community has been huge. So I'm really impressed, and I genuinely do mean that. Thank you very much. And here, by the way, one thing I have to say, and I've been talking to people about this the last couple of weeks. See those videos? They're absolutely mental, and you are absolutely mental. Those videos just make me laugh. I am pissing myself nearly every day watching your videos. They are funny, and you know what? It brings honestly, it brings a bit of joy to me every day when I watch them. So keep that up because it's great crack. Everyone enjoys it. You know what I mean? Bit of fun.
I think Katie will be offended that you're laughing at her. I mean, she works there hard to be a serious business lady, and then you're just laughing at her.
No, it's hard not to. It's hard to hold back
No,
laughter.
no, well,
Hard to hold back the laughter. Look, it's very hard. But listen, and thank Anthony. Hope you guys have a really great New Year, and a very prosperous New Year. But thank you very much for coming on tonight. So I could say, genuinely, thank you very much. And yeah, I'm just going to talk about my plans for this year. So then I don't need Anthony on because he'll probably say, no, that's not happening. This isn't happening. You're not doing that, and and such and such. But yeah.
Well, you haven't told me that yet. It's usually the scenario. Why were you share that with me, Paul?
Right, no. Listen, I hope everyone's enjoyed their tasting this evening. But yeah, I do want to talk about going forward and what this kind of year looks like, because look, this is the end of the mini festive whiskey week, which was only to bring a bit of joy during the dark period between Christmas and New Year for a lot of people, because where we're going to be in a situation of lockdown, or we're going to be in a position we couldn't go out and enjoy those Christmas nights out, or the times with friends and family that we normally would have in a bar or somewhere else. So I'm glad we've kind of fulfilled that. And yeah, 148 individual boxes went out for the Christmas period, which was really nice. Some of them were given as gifts. That was great. But it was nice. It was nice to bring people together on our tastings. I've had some great tastings. I've really enjoyed them. Standout 100% was the gin tasting for me. Because I wasn't sure how that would go down, but actually tasting gin side by side, looking at the different botanicals, that was great. But some of these whiskies we have tasted have been absolutely brilliant, and I really have been taken aback by a lot of the cask strength whiskies that have come through. Bushmills have done themselves proud in Redbreast, certainly, but even the staple stuff that I looked at, which was over the kind of 12-year whiskies and the kind of staple stuff that you should be able to pick up in the shops. Again, it was just good to see that range of whiskies that we have at really good prices. They're not overly expensive, so it was nice to see. So, where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us with a new project to look forward this year. So I'm looking at Belfast Whisky Week split into the main event, which is the festival at the very end of July. So it's the 23rd of July to the 31st of July. And that's the main event. And before that, we've got, at the very end of January, we have a Rabbie Burns night. So Rabbie Burns night, I'm going to do one box as a one-off box for Rabbie Burns night. So it's only going to be Scottish whiskies. Probably won't be very, that appealing to everyone. But for me, it'll be showcasing.
Whiskey Club box.
Say again, Louise. Sorry.
Sorry, Paul. Is that a Whiskey Week or a Whiskey Club, Belfast Whisky Club box, or is that
this is Belfast Whisky Week. So again, if I mention the club, I'll do that by name. But this is Belfast Whisky Week. It'll be a Belfast Whisky Week box. So it'll be the wooden boxes that people got with the glassware in it. It'll be one of them, and it'll be 9 Scottish whiskies to showcase some really good Scotch whisky. So that's what that'll be. It'll be a Rabbie Burns night special. We will then also at Paddy's, we've got 3 boxes we're going to be putting out. So we're going to have a Paddy's weekend, Paddy's Day weekend kind of thing, with 3 different tastings. So 3 different boxes over Paddy's Day, and that will lead us then into the festival. Every week you'll see me now live. I'm not doing live podcasting, which is really strange. I'm not going to do that, but I will be live broadcasting every week, maybe twice a week, specifically, showcasing distilleries who are involved in the festival. So you're going to see me from now on showcasing. What I would say is, you guys have the first opportunity. So 16 people who are listening live at this very second. You guys will be the first ones that will hear about this, because this is the first time I've spoken about it. Even Anthony wouldn't have heard about this one. But what I'm going to be doing is every every few weeks, but definitely every week, you will get boxes sent out, very small samples, to join me in a tasting with a distillery, and that'll be a pay your own postage, nothing more than that. You pay your own postage and you can get involved. So there'll be a short list of people. I'm only going to do it a handful of people, so I'm looking to have about 8 people on every session, and that's it. The rest of it is just going to be broadcast live. But if you're very lucky, if you're one of those lucky people, you'll be able to join me on over 45 different distilleries that I'm going to be working with over the course of the next few months. So you'll see me every week. I'll be on, and every week I'll be doing different distilleries with just a couple of samples from each distillery for the crack. And that's just a small project I'm working on. That's just to say thank you very much to those distilleries who I'm working with. It's a bit of conversation about them, not about the whiskey. We'll drink the whiskey. So what's quite clear is when you come and have these little conversations and you can speak to them, it's not to ask questions very much so about the whiskey we're drinking, but maybe it's about the future of their distillery, the future of their brands, what they expect, and maybe what they're going to be doing for Belfast Whisky Week, and it's to keep that conversation alive. So that's what we're going to be doing. And I do hope that people, will get involved in that. Hopefully it's a bit of fun, and again, it should be informative. And it won't be too long. It'll probably be about an hour and a half at a time. We don't want to keep them for too long. Okay, so that's the plan there with that. The festival itself. So we get to that point in July, whereby at the moment I have on, and I was talking to people about this during the week. I have at the moment 55 different events, so 55 separate events over the course of those 9 to 10 days. So it goes from, as I say, it goes from the 23rd of July through to the 31st of July. And it starts off, it's bookended. So bookended at the very start with a ball, a gala ball. And again, this is physical stuff.
Do I have to dress for this?
Yeah, well, you don't need to. I'm sure you've got plenty of dresses, but we're going to go for the gala ball at the start of the week, and at the very end of the week, we've got an exhibition of whiskey, and in between all of that, we've got all these tastings, and these tastings are protected time, so protected time tastings. So distilleries will be protected time. There's nothing that overlaps, so there won't be an overlapping of distilleries, and it'll be across the whole of Belfast in different venues, and we will broadcast. At least at this point, our idea is to broadcast, and what I mean by that is not me in my little kitchen here. We will broadcast from venues using a broadcasting system, which allows to have 2 or 3 camera angles looking at the tasting. So you can, if you are in, I don't know, Venezuela, and you're allowed to receive alcohol and you can be involved, then you can watch us if you can't make it to Belfast.
Can I ask, Paul, in terms of the physical venues, in terms of capacity for those venues in relation to social distancing, ventilation, all of that side of things, what do you at the moment envisage as the maximum capacity for the physical tastings in terms of people that want to actually be there?
Well,
Cases are likely to be available for those tastings?
Yeah, I suppose first of all, we've got loads of venues to be using. So we've got loads of venues to be using, and frankly, using the Duke of York and their establishments in that area already would have spaces big enough for us to social distance in those venues. I would say at least we'd have 20 people at each tasting. I don't think that's going to be an issue. Do you know what I mean? And I think that there'll be some tastings we might have a little bit more than that. So we've got the use of our partners. Our partners this year will be the Hastings Hotel Group. So we will be looking at options with the Hastings Group to have different different hotels within Belfast, and they've got 4 that are very handy to the city centre that we can be using. And I think that if that's the case, they'll have have space within inside those hotels that are maybe bigger spaces. You know what I mean? So that'd be something we'll be looking at. But look, it's a festival, So what people need to get in their heads, and I hope people understand this and totally start to get this, is that it's a festival. So there's tastings on the go. There's food pairings on the go. You know, there's Q&A debates that we had in our first year. We have live debates with distillers and brand ambassadors, bloggers even. You know, we quiz the bloggers. I think that's quite important. These people who sit behind the desk typing away, and we never see their face. You get to quiz them, and then we've got the music. So it's a festival. So there's live music. We'll have our live music, and we'll have our live comedy. And then we've got lovely things to be, you know, as a tourist or someone who wants to come and involve themselves in the festival, then they can take themselves off and do some of the walking history tours, history tours on whiskey, and then go on the tours to the different distilleries. So we've got the tours, which will go out to the tours, the distilleries that will be local. So again, out to Copeland, out to Hinch, out to Ecklandville, out to now Redemon Estate. Yeah, so I don't know how we pronounce that, but Shawcross, yes. Yeah. What? Radmon? No, Redemon. I'm so sorry. David will hate me for how I've pronounced it, but look, he knows I'm trying my hardest. And then, you know, and even out to the likes of Cologne potentially. So doing those, bringing people to the city of Belfast, and again taking them out to distilleries, that's going to be very key to this. So lots of different things on the go, and really we want it to be, because there's so many tasting events on it, we want it to be bigger. I'll be honest, if I'm going to lay down a marker, I want it to be bigger than the Isle of Festival. Fact. And that's what I want. I want it to be bigger. I want it to be better. And I definitely understand that it might not be physical. So to caveat it all, we will broadcast a minimum of 50% of the entire festival if it is physical. And if it's not physical, and if we are bound by too many restrictions, then 100% of it will be broadcast. But again, it will have those elements that we included this year, which is bringing that music, bringing that comedy, bringing a sense of, and look, if we can try and get more food, you know, local food from the area out. I know we only did it once or twice last year. If we can get food out to people, we'll do that. But, you know, we'll get as much of the festival out to people if they can't come to Belfast. That'll be very important for us.
I have to say, the food that Ryan sent out to us as part of the Christmas dinner for Belfast Whisky Club was amazing. And like anybody that knows me knows that I do not cook. I am hopeless whenever it comes to the kitchen. But honestly, that Christmas dinner that Ryan produced was absolutely fantastic, and it was so easy. And I was freaking out. I thought, I'm not going to be able to do this, but it was phenomenal. It really was.
And we used Ryan in the summertime, so people, there was a. No, I'm thinking, what was it? Was it wine versus wine and whiskey section that might have had that also? The food, I can't remember when it was, but there was definitely.
I know I was supposed to get the food, but then I was in the Grand Central, and that's why I ended up missing it. Yeah.
I know, and look, hopefully we can get into, you know, venues and have physical interaction. You know, hopefully that's the case. Anyone get any questions? Anyone any thoughts? Because you can have thoughts. I mean, there's some things that are still in planning zone, but most of it's moved into, you know, full on production. But you can have, if you've got a suggestion, I have no problems. I'll take suggestions. But yeah, any.
The only thing that I would say is that I really love the fact that we're able to bring in the international element within Belfast Whisky Week, because I know certainly from my perspective, I've got to know Charlie quite well, who was on the tasting tonight, and I think it's a really nice idea to be able to introduce Irish whiskey to an international demographic and an international mark by bringing in that virtual element. So it's something that I really would like to see happening in 2021 as well, because I think there's a lot of people that are interested in what we're doing as a country, and the fact that we can use Belfast Whisky Week as a driving force to promote that through globally, I think is a fantastic thing, and something that we should really concentrate on.
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, if we looked at our demographics from the summer event, you know, we had well over 25% of our participants were outside of Ireland. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. You know, in fact, a huge amount huge amount of people were getting involved in America and also in Europe, compared to maybe specifically even just people from the south of Ireland. So that was great to see, absolutely brilliant. But you know what? If you live in America, if you live in America, live in Germany. At the moment, there's discussions on the go just now about using, hopefully, specifically bringing people from Germany and from America to Belfast using travel agents. So that's a conversation that's going on just now. There would be festival passes for people who are coming in that kind of angle, i.e. coming here as guests, and staying within the hotel group. That's something that we will be offering. There's also, I know there was a couple of guys last year who took part in, John still don't know how he's managed to survive, but people who took on the whole festival, and we will do.
That was done, Charlotte, wasn't it?
That was hard work. That was hard work, but it was worth it.
So there are things like that, but there's things like day passes. So we know that at the moment there's close to maybe 4 or 5 tastings per day, depending on what's going on. So, or where it is and what type of thing. So there'll be day passes where you can dip in and out of different tastings and different events. So there's lots of ticket options. If it's physical, there's lots of ticket options specific.
Yeah.
That we're working on.
I know this is probably a really silly question to ask, but in terms of, I know you were talking about doing distillery tours, so the likes of Dunville's, Cullowen, Hinch. I'm presuming that transport would be included as a part of that.
Oh, 1000%. Yeah, look, definitely, and we're looking at we had certainly for last year we already had all of that sorted. We had our own tour guys that were going to be doing it, and we had our own buses. So look, again, it'll be I suppose there'll be restrictions on whether or not we need to, what type of accommodation we need to find for that. But yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, and it will be all parts of it. Parts of it will certainly be included directly in the ticket pricing. That won't be an issue. I think what everyone needs to gauge from it as well is a festival. I just get this in your head. It is not whiskey tastings. It's festival. It is a festival. If you're coming to Belfast, it's because you're going to come here for the crack. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're going to come and enjoy yourself, and it's just not about turn up a tasting. That would just be mental. And it's not, although we bookend at the very end of the festival with an exhibition, it's not this idea of just walking around the hall.
Yeah.
No, we don't do that. So we're going to, a lot more personal, a lot more fun, and certainly a hell of a lot of, and again, something we don't get in Ireland is this international kind of element. A lot of our tastings this year, so when I looked at it back, we had about 70% of our tastings included Irish whiskey. The other 30% didn't. And actually, it's more now moving, when I've been looking at the types of distilleries that are involved, we're nearly looking at a 50-50 split. So we're looking at a 50% split of Irish distilleries and then Scottish and world distillers. Do you know what I mean? To make up the other 50%. That number is growing. So I would say that number is growing, and it might even overtake the amount of Irish distillers that are involved. So that's interesting. So this is not an Irish whiskey festival. It will be the largest Irish whiskey festival, but it's Belfast Whiskey Week. Do you know what I mean? It's not specific to Irish whiskey. That's very important. Do you know what I mean? So when we have the likes of Cavalan and Nika and Belgrove and maybe a splattering of Australian distilleries who are going to be involved this year, and then we look at Europe and we pick out, I think we've got, again, I would like to think that our friends from Holland and Sweden come back on board, which we've said, but also then we've got other European countries really want to focus on the new French distilleries that are coming through, and indeed Danish distilleries. So looking at lots of pathways, and then at the moment I'm sitting about 10 different Scotch distilleries. So I think that I think people can understand what went on there. We got the nod directly from Glenfarclas, when they came on board, and again have said that they want to come back on board. That was very important that we got that. We got a really good nod from independents in Scotland, and I'm thinking at the moment, it looks like we have two massive independent bottlers coming on board as well. So if we have that, yeah, I think this turns out into a pretty big festival with pretty big, hitters, not I mean? So really looking forward to it,
So are we all taking over a floor in the Grand Central then?
I think that's the second time you said that, Louise. I'm not paying for that.
Yeah.
I'm not paying for that, but you can pay for it. Right? And I'm sure Daniel, he'll travel all the way up from Dublin just to be on that floor. Because
I think that's a lot of fun.
Paul, hang on. During Belfast Whiskey Week earlier this year, you said I could come stay in your house.
You can. Listen,
Daniel, choice between staying at Walls or staying in the Grand Central.
Hold on, Paul La Casa. You get everything here. You get like rosy sweets. Know what I mean? You get like Cadbury sweets. Know what I mean? Think of the amount of alcohol I have, Daniel. That's all I'm saying.
That's where I was going. I was like,
when I stayed in the Grand Central during Belfast Whiskey Week, I had a VIP bath experience. It was called the $1 Million Bath Experience. I had my own bath butler who served cocktails.
Daniel, I still have some of this. This is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
Paul going to serve you cocktails in a bath. Just say.
He's given me a quarter bottle of rum. It's superior.
Top of the house. Listen, I want to say thank you very much to Andreas. Thank you, Andreas, for being here. Excellent. Thomas Gockle, listen, thank you very much for listening. I'm sorry you can't be drinking it just now. Anthony, thanks very much for coming on. Serge also, and Kevin and Connor, and absolutely everyone else who has been on the Facebook and the YouTube. Listen, thank you very much. Brendan, Happy New Year, Brendan Anderson. Thank you very much. Happy New Year to you, sir. Yeah, listen, I've had good crack. Hope you guys really do have a prosperous new year. I hope it's phenomenal. I hope we see each other every week for the crack. You're more than welcome and again, I don't care whether or not you come and listen to it, but I think every session I have should be entertaining because it's just going to be banter. I don't think we're going to have anything. It's not stuffy. It's not like, it's not stuffy interviews. It's just me and someone else from a distillery or a brand chatting away about them, what the crack is, and just keeping the festival and the idea of the festival alive. So listen, thank you very much.
Cheers, Paul.
Thanks so much, Paul. We appreciate it. Happy New Year.